and you don't hear him talking about that at all. It's all about, we need more money, more money, more money, tax increases, not that, hey, I helped cause this problem.
Yeah, so let me just kind of reset everything. $40-some million shortfall, reserves are being dipped into. There's a requirement for a balanced budget, and the Page administration starts off the conversation with a budget that's 9% higher after saying we can't cut our way out of it. How is that received when that comes in? I mean, is there no thought in their head that, okay, if you say we can't cut our way out of it, I got to think we probably could, but at least you don't pile on to it?
Yeah, that's exactly right. He should have sent a budget to us that matched with the revenue that's anticipated to come in next year, and he didn't. He sent us a budget that's much higher. Now, here's another little catch. They include a ton of money in the budget, about $60 million in the budget for positions that are unfilled. Wouldn't you think that'd probably be the easiest way to approach this to begin with, is freeze those positions, don't fill them? We're already operating county government, although some may argue not well. But we're already operating county government without these $60 million in positions. Do we really need to fill them? For example, Sam Page has 11 positions open that are unfilled in his budget, his county executive budget. His executive CEO of his office yesterday told us that they plan to fill all 11 of those. Now, why are we having that discussion? Why do you need to fill all those positions when you've gone, in most cases, for the last few years with most of those not filled? Now, suddenly we're in a budget crunch and you tell us you're going to fill every one of those? So, I mean, that's a non-starter for me.
Good morning, Tim. This is Ken Williams. This actually kind of goes along with what you were just talking about. I'm a firm believer that government should probably look first at decreasing services before increasing taxes, always. I mean, that should always be the first thing. But is there a way that we can do that in our county government, like find some way to decrease these services so we don't have to raise taxes?
Absolutely, and we've asked every department head that's come before us since the budget discussion started now 2 weeks ago for that very idea. And you know what they tell us? Nope, got to have it. Got to have it all. Got to have it all. Everything we've asked for, we got to have it all. Now, that's not a coincidence when these, in many cases, their political appointees of the county executive comes to us and says, we have to have it all. So no, there's no room for negotiation here. There's nothing that we want to do to reduce the budget. There's nothing we can do to increase revenue other than raise taxes. That's not a coincidence. So obviously they're getting instructions from the Page administration to deliver that message to the county that cutting any kind of services, that's just not on the table.
Phenomenal irresponsibility. Just phenomenal fiscal irresponsibility.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Absolutely.
He's
scared to death. He's got a tough race ahead of him. He's scared to death to talk about cutting any kind of services or reducing the budget. He's scared to death to do that.
And he's going to be up against a guy who's run businesses, who understands balance sheets.
Yep, that's exactly right. And yesterday I told the council, I've said this for years now, we need a professional county manager to do these type of things. Unfortunately, all we have in these top positions in the county executive's office are political appointees who have no executive management experience. They were brought in because of their political connections to Sam Page. That's a recipe for disaster, and why he will not consider bringing in a professional county manager to run at least the fiscal parts of St. Louis County government is beyond me.
Well, that debate on November 1st between Mark Mantovani and Sam Page is going to be very, very interesting for a lot of people to see. I'm a little heavy on time, but just real quick question. But given your background in law enforcement, police chief, obviously crime front and center in this, not just the election, but just in our lives right now, what is maybe the one thing, the first step that the county should do to really amp up that protection of the public and deal with this violent crime regardless of where it's coming from?
Well, I sat through the Board of Police Commissioners meeting on Wednesday and listened to all of the issues in the police department. They are 84 police officers short right now. 84. That is a record high in St. Louis County Police. The highest we ever had, and it was a crisis when I was there, was 50, and now they're at 84. That's about the same number of personnel as the entire North County precinct, which is our highest crime precinct. It's like being the whole precinct not being there. So we really have to figure out how to attract young men and women to law enforcement and get them in the door, because right now that's the issue. I mean, we're paying well. We have great benefits. all the recipe for success is there. The problem is getting the people in the door, and the reason they won't come in the door for the most part is the political atmosphere in the St. Louis area when it comes to law enforcement. Until we get behind these men and women and support them and say, hey, you get out there, you do the right thing, we're going to support you, we don't care who complains, it's not going to get any better. So that's the number one pressing issue. And it's not just the county police. Look at how decimated the city police. If you think the county's in bad shape, the city's in 10 times worse shape.
Your Monday morning news roundup starts in about 4 minutes and 12 seconds right here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
For podcast articles and more, find us on NewstalkSTL.com. Let's get the conversation started, St. Louis. This is Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL. News, analysis, opinion. Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Chris, Stell, and I are back on Monday at 4:25. We'll have former U.S. Senator Jim Talent at 5:25. Susie Moore of Red State.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 3:30 on News Talk STL.
If you believe Brandon and the supply chain issues are still in crisis, or even if you don't, hurry into Southern Armory, your Second Amendment headquarters, for the best selection of firearms, suppressors, holsters, ammunition, pepper spray, and knives. Browse through our constantly changing inventory, order something special, or have us repair or modify that firearm that you've been putting off. Try our firearms training simulator. See the demo video on our website. Come into Southern Armory, 9901 Watson Road, 1 mile east of 270 and 44, and Southern Armory.
Every dollar you put into your home.
We're the only country that has one of those. Most other countries, considering like Canada, the UK, they don't have long-term fixed-rate mortgages like that. They're all variable-rate mortgages.
HomeWise with Michael Midget. Sunday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL. St. Louis's new choice for conservative talk.
Listen to this noise coming out of the White House.
Live and local.
We need to get the message to people who are not being helped by Democrats.
Ron DeSantis showed people the back of his hand.
This is News Talk STL. Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019. Having your first cup of coffee? Mike's on his third. This is Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Okay, there's a lot going on here as we're about 3 weeks away from the general elections. But get this, and we're going to talk about this at 7:05. I found this article on the Daily Signal by Tyler O'Neill. If some politicians get their way, I wish I were making this up. I wish that this was just a matter of another crazy right-wing talk show host, making predictions that are just insane and fear-mongering. But get this, if some politicians get their way, parents could be prosecuted for not affirming their children's gender dysphoria mental illness. Unbelievable.
If you let that pass, I don't know what I don't know what to tell you.
Right.
Honestly, I don't know what to say about it.
It really has gotten that bizarre, and it's gotten that dangerous. So you should not miss that conversation, which is going to happen at 7:05 here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. I've got the managing editor of the Daily Signal is going to be with us. Okay. Also, here we go again. Question mark. Masks. are on J.B. Pritzker's mind again. Oh, boy. Yeah, we'll talk about that. Also, Democrats over the weekend doubled down on their argument that they are the ones who should be trusted to keep running the economy. Strong play there, Democrats. Way to go. Lean into it. I'm glad you're leaning into it. Way to go.
I hope they continue.
Woo, boy. Okay, yeah, I got a lot of questions about that. We'll talk about that. All right, here are some of the stories affecting St. Louis. If July's flooding forced you out of your rental home, you could be eligible for federal aid, and we can debate what the federal aid should or shouldn't be, but the reality is that it is there. If you are a resident of St. Louis City, St. Louis County, or St. Charles County, you had to relocate due to the flooding, including those who had to leave your apartment because the building was condemned or damaged, well, you may get some of that assistance. The applications open today at 8:30. Now, I'm going to go ahead and do this again in the 8 o'clock hour, but I'll tell you right now that there's a phone number set up just for you if you're affected by this, 816-283-7920, 816-283-7920. That is just for St. Louis area renters who were displaced. Once again, that line is going to open up at 8:30 today. You can also apply online. The website is disasterassistance.gov. There are 3 disaster centers in the St. Louis area, which are going to open up at 8 o'clock today. Rankin Technical College is going to have one. The Urban League Empowerment Center on Florissant is going to have another one. And the U-City Recreation Division in the Centennial Commons is another one. You've got until November 7th to apply if you want any of that federal assistance from that flooding. I'll talk about this in a few minutes here. A freeze warning in the weather forecast for tonight. So we're actually getting some of that real fall weather here, but this is also affecting, I guess we're planning on it affecting a lot of the low-income residents around St. Louis. Heat Up St. Louis already reaching out to low-income St. Louisans to tell them about their nonprofit assistance program. Gentry Trotter is kind of known as a pretty left-wing activist in town, but he's also working with Heat Up St. Louis. He was speaking to KMOV's Dion Braxton while he was out door knocking, going out to house to say, hey, this nonprofit assistance is available.
And they just got off a real high bill for the summer due to the weather. Usually in the wintertime, there's the flu. Now it's the pandemic. Now it's inflation, and people can't cope.
Heat Up St. Louis will help residents pay heating bills. Trotter says they're spreading the word earlier than usual.
The impact is outrageous. We're 50% up versus last year this year.
Now, here's what they're worried about is when things get really cold is that people are going to find dangerous ways to try to keep their homes hot or keep them warm at least and cause fires.
He's such a great guy. Gentry Trotter is timeless. I was one of his sugar plum fairies on TV. On TV when I was about 8 years old.
Wow.
Gentry Trotter, he's been on forever.
Oh, I know he's been forever. He's been around. I mean, he's like a staple of St. Louis.
Yeah.
So he was going door to door over the weekend.
Man, that's awesome that he's doing that.
HeatUpStLouis.org is the website. If you want to learn more, you think somebody should tap into that. That is a nonprofit organization. So basically they're looking, if you make a donation, they're going to help somebody pay their bill so they don't have anything, shut off or they don't get so far behind it affects other things. So if you'll make a donation, they do that. And then obviously they're trying to keep people from using the dangerous types of space heaters.
And just so you know, Sugar Plum Fairies, they were the singers.
I was really hoping you were going to clarify that.
Yeah, we were a little singing choir group of kids.
All right, student loan forgiveness. That online application is now up and running. Now, it's like the early version of it. They're probably going to upgrade the website again, but they're actually taking the applications now. Big debate over that. Terrible public policy. But if you are going to, apply for it, you can do it now. studentaid.gov/debt relief/application is where you're going to find it. And I suspect there's probably a lot of people doing it right now.
Yeah.
Now, that is assuming that the courts don't strike this down, which it may very well happen. But as of right now, if you want to get in line for your student loan debt to be cut with terrible economic policy, but hey, it's there. Wow. So you can apply, just so you know. This is a scary thought right here. We're seeing this all over, a lot of the news right now. So, speaking of students, but this is for local schools here. Dangerous radioactivity. This is really, really bad stuff. It is reported at a St. Louis area school. Fox News' Richard Jordan has more.
A new report confirms significant radioactive contamination at an elementary school in suburban St. Louis. Nuclear weapons were produced nearby during World War II. The St. Louis Post-Dispatch reports environmental consultants at Boston Chemical Data Corporation tested dust from Jana Elementary's library, kitchen, classrooms, fields, and playgrounds, detecting excessive levels of radioactive lead, radium, and other toxins. Inhaling or ingesting these materials can cause injury. The school district said in a statement the safety of staff and students is its top priority. A school board meeting is planned for Tuesday. Richard Jordan, Fox News.
I mean, this isn't new to people in the area. I mean, we knew this stuff was going on.
Surprised, and today in 2022, they're looking at it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, there's been complaints about it. People have been raising the alarm for years, but now we've got these extra, test confirmations. So where do you go from here? Well, I imagine that school board meeting is going to be pretty full tomorrow.
If they want to risk their lives.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No.
All this time, these kids have been going to school there.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. And the teachers and everybody.
Yeah. So where do we go from here? We don't know. We'll find out tomorrow. By the way, freeze warning coming into effect in the St. Louis area starting overnight tonight and in tomorrow. So this is one of those things where I'm, as an obligatory statement, supposed to tell you bring your plants in and bring your pets in overnight.
Yeah, my wife reminded me last night late, as I'm supposed to go to bed early.
Yeah,
and said the plants are outside. It's going to freeze them all, so I had to go out and get them all.
Yeah, I forgot.
And they're big plants.
I forgot.
Oh no.
Rachel's out of town this week. I'll just buy some new ones while she's gone.
There you go.
There it is. All right. Just ahead here, Democrats say, hey, you know who should lead the country on economics? Us, because we're doing such a bang-up job.
Hey, Tim Jones here for Rockwood Charcoal. If you love to grill as much as I do, I'm sure you prefer using charcoal over gas. Ever since I met Jonathan Heslop and he introduced me to his product, Rockwood Lump Charcoal, we're not using anything else. Rockwood's made from 100% pure Missouri oak and hickory and can be found in stores all across the country. It's the nationally highest consumer-ranked charcoal there is, so you're cooking with the best and supporting local industry and a local business right from my hometown of Eureka. There's over 100 area Rockwood retailers. Find yours at rockwoodcharcoal.com.
How is your car payment treating you? What if I told you you could make a free phone call right now and reduce your car payment by as much as $83 a month? Look at your car payment closely. You could be paying as high as 20% interest. Rate Genius can help you reduce your car payments by reducing your interest rate to as low as 2.48% APR. We can refinance most existing car loans or leased cars, new or used, and save you money every month. Put more money back in your pocket. The call is free to find out how low we can lower your car payment. 5 minutes of your time right now could save you hundreds of dollars a year. Call Rate Genius now.
800-764-2179. 800-764-2179. 800-764-2179. That's 800-764-2179.
Not all applicants qualify for a loan or rate savings. Actual offer terms, including APR, are determined at the time of your application based on creditworthiness, value of the vehicle, loan term, and other factors.
Columbo and Katie.
When is the timeline of an announcement like that appropriately expected?
First off, if it was not Donald Trump, I would tell you that it would happen probably next spring, late winter, early spring. Donald Trump doesn't do things traditionally. No. I would argue, it would not surprise me that he would, if he were to announce, that he were to announce between the election and the end of the year.
Tony Colombo, Katie Fitzpatrick, weekdays at 2 on Newstalk STL. KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is Newstalk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewstalkSTL.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Greg Clugston in Washington. Volleys of drones and explosions have hit the Ukraine capital of Kiev today.
Explosive-laden suicide drones struck as families were preparing to start their week. The blasts echoing across the city, sending people scurrying to shelters. City Mayor Vitaly Klitschko says the capital's central district was hit, damaging several apartment blocks and setting fire to a non-residential building. There's been no immediate word on casualties. Witnesses posted videos of drones buzzing across the bright morning skies over the city and of what sounded like gunshots of people trying to shoot them down. I'm Charles Dilladesma.
Iranian officials now say at least 8 prisoners have been killed in a fire at Tehran's notorious Evin prison. The fire broke out Saturday night as nationwide anti-government protests triggered by the death of a young woman in police custody entered a 5th week. President Biden is using a Trump-era COVID policy to expel Venezuelan migrants.
The rule, first invoked by former President Trump in 2020, uses emergency public health authority to allow the U.S. to keep migrants from seeking asylum at the border. It's based on the need to help prevent the spread of coronavirus. Candidate Joe Biden denounced Trump for it. Now, with midterm elections nearing and increasing numbers of Venezuelans arriving at the border, Biden has turned to his predecessor's playbook. Venezuelans who walk or swim across America's southern border will be expelled, and any who illegally enter Mexico or Panama are ineligible to come to the U.S. But as many as 24,000 will be accepted at U.S. airports. I'm Julie Walker.
The nation's first trial over a state's ban on gender-confirming care for children begins in Arkansas this week. The judge will hear testimony and evidence over the law that he blocked. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Hello?
Hey, stranger.
Oh, hi. Thank goodness it's you. I was afraid to answer the phone.
Why? What's up?
The credit card companies are after me. They want me to make payments and the calls never stop.
Ouch. Been there before, but I got help from Trinity Debt Management.
Trinity?
Yeah, I called and right away Trinity contacted my creditors and got my interest rates cut in half. They ended all the late fees and over-limit charges, and they stopped those annoying phone calls.
Bet that was a relief.
Yep. Then they put me on a plan that consolidated my bills into one easy monthly payment. That way, I paid off my debt fast while saving thousands.
Nice.
Trinity even showed me how to plan and meet a monthly budget. So now I'm debt-free for keeps.
Wow. Do you still have their number?
Sure. Here, write this down and call 1-800-990-6976.
Can you repeat that?
1-800-990-6976. That's 1-800-990-6976.
China's leader.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Traffic Center.
Got a pretty serious incident on the Rock Road at Pennsylvania. It sounds like the Rock Road is closed in both directions. That's a crash involving a pedestrian struck Highway A at Plass Road in Jefferson County, a one-vehicle crash. And we've got an overturned vehicle crash on Project Road at Maupin Road. I'm Joe Sonderman. That's the very latest from the News Talk STL Traffic Center. This report sponsored by Blindster. Need new blinds or shades? Blindster.com offers custom-made blinds, shades, and shutters shipped right to you at prices less than the big box retailers. Blindster blinds, easy to install. They're guaranteed to fit. Don't overpay for new blinds. Shop today and save big at Blindster.com.
From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
It's a cool morning out there with temperatures around 40 degrees this morning under clear skies. Going to be a breezy, sunny, chilly day. Yesterday we hit 70. Today, though, a high of only 48 degrees. First alert weather day coming up on Tuesday as temperatures across the area will dip into the 20s tomorrow morning for a hard freeze. We've got a freeze warning in effect until 9 a.m. on Tuesday. The high again only about 47 degrees, but it does warm up through the rest of the week. I'm KMOV First Alert meteorologist Kent Earhart.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by The Dental Link. Call Dr. Alan Link today, 314-794-6464 to schedule your free consultation. Offices in Baldwin and Melville, 314-794-6464.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Money Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on St. Louis radio for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can hear Doug and Safe Money Radio 3 times every weekend on News Talk STL. But in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com. What else do our listeners need to know, Doug?
Simply put, I focus on helping pre-retirees and retirees build, preserve, and protect retirement assets, and I've been helping my clients solve their insurance and financial needs for the past 33 years. I also strive to educate my clients on how to prepare for retirement, minimize the impact of market volatility on their assets, and deal with the challenges of increased longevity. Call me today at 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities LLLP, member FINRA and SIPC.
Conservative talk for St. Louis.
It's your patriotic right and duty.
The government needs to step up and do its job.
This is News Talk STL.
It's well-balanced conversation.
News, analysis, opinion. Mike Ferguson.
We the people.
Gabe Pfeiffer.
It's not rocket science. Rocket science.
Get up, can't you hear the alarm? Get up.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
I've got a comparison to make here, guys.
Okay.
Let's go with different lines of work. We talk about the fact that you are a rocket scientist.
Yes.
In your real life.
I do science rockets.
You do science rockets. So if you're sciencing a rocket and you say, I know this is going to work, and you fire a rocket into space and it breaks in half and falls to the ground and does nothing.
Oh, boy.
Okay. That would be bad, right?
That's a very bad.
Okay. And so you say, you know what? That's not right. The rocket was wrong. Do it again, and we'll prove to that rocket that it should have succeeded. And you
wait, exactly the same way we did it?
And you double down on it, and then you shoot the next rocket. What's going to happen?
Don't change any data at all.
No, because the rocket was wrong.
No.
The rocket did not respond to what you told it to do.
No.
Okay.
No. The rocket is right.
Okay.
The rocket is always right.
Okay, so Ken, you were a baseball player.
Yeah.
You were a pitcher.
Yeah.
Okay, and if you decide that you are going to throw a fastball on the first pitch for every batter and they keep hitting home runs, what do?
Keep throwing them, baby.
Absolutely, you do.
Because they are wrong.
Wait.
The
wait a minute. No. That's
the batters
I don't think that's right.
should have been expecting something else.
They should have,
and they didn't do their part.
Wait.
That's exactly right.
Oh, but wait, no.
Okay,
no.
Maybe not. I don't think so.
So
now that I think about it,
maybe a changeup.
I say all of this to say
yes.
that the Democrats went on the Talking Head shows on Sunday to say we're doing a great job on the economy. We've got to keep doing what we're doing.
That's a blown up rocket.
The economy's on fire, man. According to Joe Biden, the economy is on fire.
Well, I mean, if you mean dumpster fire.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I would say that, yeah.
As in burning down.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let's take a tour around the Talking Head shows. On CNN, Dana Bash on State of the Union was asking White House economic advisor Cecilia Rouse, I think is how you say her name.
Mm-hmm.
She says a very, very basic question. I mean, when is inflation going to start coming down?
A lot of Americans are curious when the so-called Inflation Reduction Act will really start to bring down inflation.
So the many parts of the bill will start to take effect next year. For example, there are tax credits for energy to help people weatherize their homes and also bring down other forms of energy costs. So we are focused on helping to make that transition to clean energy in a way that brings down energy costs for families.
Oh, great. Okay. So next year there's a tax credit so you can buy solar panels, and that's going to fix inflation. We just got to, it was really urgent to pass that massive spending plan 2 months ago, but it's okay. Next year, just trust us next year.
We analyzed this before, and I think we came up with the number. If you took advantage of all these credits that they're supposed to be giving you for green energy and green things that you could do for your home and your car, it would come out to around $200,000 that you would need up front. And then you would get these credits. That's what she's talking about.
Oh.
So we're going to be saving money.
Right. So just in case anybody forgot, for the rest of us, the CPI report issued this week shows an increased 8.2% year-over-year inflation. Yeah. So good luck with that $200,000 with the credits.
Oh, my gosh.
Good luck with that. Secretary of Transportation Pete Buttigieg, who's proven himself to be an economic expert in every way possible.
Every single one.
He was on Meet the Press this week. He was on Meet the Press on ABC. He says, you know what? He's very proud of the Biden administration's accomplishments when it comes to the economy.
We have our challenges right now, but when the president took office, we were facing an economy that was at risk of going into free fall. The American Rescue Plan stopped that, and it went directly into easing the burden for Americans with those tax benefits that Americans got.
Wait, what?
Thank God they stopped the economy from tanking.
He's actually claiming a victory. He wants to take a victory lap here with this.
Yep.
I don't know. These people live in la la land.
You know why the economy was at risk of because of all the shutdowns and the government stopping energy production domestically and intentionally doing these left-wing green energy policies that have priced people out of the market.
It's amazing.
It's a message they're all trying to be in lockstep to avoid the actual truth. And I actually checked with a couple of people who are non-political people, and I just wanted to get their opinion on the market and how they're living and everything. And both of them said, I just simply asked them, how do you feel about the economy? How's everything going with you? It's terrible.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what they see. I mean, no matter what you're telling them, they're going to see only what they lived through.
No. Bernie Sanders was on Meet the Press with NBC,
right?
And he disagrees.
Oh, Bernie's got an opinion here.
Bernie has an opinion on economics.
Okay. All right.
I believe, and most Democrats believe, that at a time when half our people live in paycheck to paycheck, we should raise the minimum wage to a living wage. No Republicans support that. I think we should make it easier for workers to join unions. Republicans don't support that.
So, by the way,
I know
he
you
also,
want to talk like him. Go ahead, Gabe.
No, I can't do it.
He also wants to raise taxes on businesses as well.
Yeah, because that's the way you get out of an economic, recession. Getting out of the economic doldrums here requires that we raise the costs of everything.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, we raise the cost of labor. You raise the cost of doing business to begin with by raising business taxes. You raise the cost of energy by trying to transition into clean energy sources before they're ready. You just raise the cost of everything, and that will bring us out of a recession. Right?
Just a note to Sam Page: we're being sarcastic. Don't
please understand
anymore.
Yeah,
it's great if you're the one who keeps your job, but if you're the others who don't get to keep their job, well, hey. At least the one guy can make a donation to the Democrats, right?
Yeah. It used to be that these people would pay a price, at least a political price, for making such bad decisions. But it feels like the public has been brainwashed so much that they don't really know which way is up and who's responsible for what.
Okay.
We need to remind them.
But here's my question here. Are the Dems now being forced to confront the economy after trying to make these elections about anything else? I mean, they wanted to make it about anything else, and they just have run out of time to run from this.
I definitely think so, but I go back to, they keep trying to make the corporations the bad guys. And I'm going to go back to even my 7th grade class that I remember the first time I heard about this, that we need to tax corporations. Corporations never get taxed. What they do is they pass it down to the consumer every single time. It's been like that forever. And they keep saying this and keep coming back to it. And I don't understand why they keep coming back to it.
Well, because you can make somebody the good guy and somebody the bad guy. And then you want to make sure that the voters say, I'm on your side against the bad guys.
A friend of my wife's actually posted something on Facebook recently. She was like, I really feel like I need to say something, but saying something would just be a bad deal right now. But the point being that this person was saying corporations are using the cover of inflation to raise prices, which feed inflation. It basically was that kind of thinking, and I think that kind of thinking actually is pervasive among Democrat voters, and it's one of those crazy things that is the Jedi mind trick essentially that the Democrats have done to their own constituents in order to avoid their own responsibility in economics.
And this is before you get into, we're not even talking about crime.
Yes,
I mean violent crime at the moment. We're not even talking about all the other things. We're not even talking about the lunacy that's being pushed top down and bottom up from the hard left in public education. We're not even talking about the culture. We're just talking about people's cost of living.
Yeah, and to your original question, yes, I think finally they are confronted with reality where they have to at least address it. The lack of addressing of economics, where they were pushing all the abortion and all these other issues instead of talking about the economy. It reached a tipping point. It's like, okay, you have to say something. So then they went to the go-to of blaming corporations, blaming others for their own failures.
All right, 314-912-1019. Got some thoughts on it? Maybe you're like, you're being too hard on these guys. It's not the Democrats' fault. They're playing the hand that they were dealt. Hey, I'm all ears, man.
Yeah, really.
Talk about that. Also, speaking of things that shut down economy, how about government restrictions on people? Is J.B. Pritzker nibbling around the edges about bringing some of those back? I'll tell you what I got my eye on. My one good eye on. We'll talk about that around 6:19 on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Your indifference. Stop it right now before you blow us all away. You wanna do that now? Get up, can't you hear the alarm? Get up, this is your cousin car. Get up, what are you waiting for?
Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. Made in St. Louis for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL.
You want to give me more information?
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Traffic Center.
Everything's still pretty quiet this morning with one exception. We've got a crash reportedly involving a pedestrian truck at the Rock Road in Pennsylvania. According to MoDOT, the intersection is blocked. That's the Rock Road in Pennsylvania. Avoid that area if your route normally takes you through there. I'm Joe Sonderman. This report sponsored by Blindster. Need new blinds or shades? Blindster.com offers custom-made blinds, shades, and shutters shipped right to you at prices less than the big box retailers. Blindster blinds, easy to install, and they're guaranteed to fit. Don't overpay for new blinds. Shop today and save big at Blindster.com. That's the latest from the News Talk STL Traffic Center.
Speaker Tim Jones here. Have you heard about the brand new best St. Louis sports bar and grill experience in the region? Johnny's Hideout in High Ridge, Missouri. 10 minutes from 270 and Gravois. 30 TVs, a huge game room, a great outdoor patio, the Sunset Patio, complete with the Sunset Stage and the train station bar. Open 6 days a week, serving lunch and dinner, featuring famous Johnny Dow's chicken wings and the best barbecue in town. When you're there, check out the VIP Speaker of the House table on your next visit. On the web, jhideout.com. That's Johnny's Hideout in High Ridge.
Do you live in West St. Louis County? Then you can get West News Magazine delivered free to your home just by asking for it. West News Magazine is the only print source for the political, school, business, and sports news happening in your hometown. Simply visit westnewsmagazine.com/subscribe or pick up a free copy at all area Deerbergs and Schnuck stores. West News Magazine. Anybody who wants it, gets it. Anybody who gets it, wants it. Subscribe for free today. Simply visit westnewsmagazine.com/subscribe.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
Tim said, how about pseudo-fascist? That's probably the best. But they're not using it. See, somebody said, they didn't say quasi. I said quasi. I got to remember what I say.
Well, I just don't know what semi-fascist could possibly be.
Half fascist. We're fash. Semi-fascist would be fash.
That sounds like the popular term.
The kids would say, oh my God, Ken, you're right. What's the sitch? Well, I'm a fash.
Vic Porcelli, weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
I'm Susie Moore, and this is More to the Point. With just over 3 weeks left until Election Day, we're seeing a lot of polling numbers, many of them favorable to Republican candidates. This stands to reason. It's a midterm election, the Democrats are in charge of both houses of Congress and the presidency, and the economy is pretty well in the toilet. Things aren't exactly rosy on the foreign policy front either. The strongest argument the Democrats seem to have going for them, or at least the one they've chosen to run on, is that Republicans are extremists who want to upend democracy and eliminate abortion across the board. Well, I've got news for the Democrats. Republicans have been the pro-life party for decades, so accusing them of being pro-life doesn't exactly pack the punch they seemingly think it does. And as for wanting to upend democracy, remind me again which party has pushed for, among other things, defunding the police, eliminating the filibuster, ditching the Electoral College, allowing non-citizens to vote, suppressing speech, and packing the Supreme Court. It's the Democrats, really the progressives, who continually push for drastic changes in our way of life and system of governance, to our detriment. If the polls and other indicators are right, voters will be giving them a resounding no on November 8th.
Susie Moore is Deputy Managing Editor for RedState.com. For more to the point and everything Susie Moore, log on to RedState.com. Follow Susie on Twitter @SmoozyQ and keep listening to 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. This is what's happening.
You can't get me more outraged than right now.
They sense that the Republicans are going to take charge in the House.
Keep our numbers in the Senate.
News, analysis, opinion.
We're going to win big on Election Day.
This is News Talk STL. This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com. Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019. Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, 99.1 HD3 and NewstalkSTL.com.
Just like an addict just trying to reach for one more hit, is J.B. Pritzker nibbling around the edges to try to bring back like some sort of mask order. I'll tell you why I'm suspicious here in just a couple of minutes. Also, at 6:35 here, the Biden administration is actually invoking a Trump-era rule on illegal immigration to deal with some illegal immigrants, while at the same time fighting the implementation of that very same rule with other illegal immigrants.
No way.
I'm telling you. I'm telling you.
Gosh.
And then 6:50, I'm going to let you geek out here, Gabe.
Oh, good.
Would you book a flight to or around the moon?
Twice.
Yeah, I would have to.
There's a really rich dude who's already bought his tickets. I'll tell you about it right around 6:50. It's 6:21 right now. I'm Mike Ferguson. All right, the number here is 314-912-1019. The Democrats are saying, you know what? You know who you should trust when it comes to the economy and your personal finances and your cost of living? You should trust us on the left because we are doing such a damn good job of it.
Yeah, they're on fire.
That's what they were doing. They went around all the talking head shows and saying, listen, everything was about to go to hell and we saved it.
You're welcome.
Don't think about anything that's going on in your life right now. Don't think about any of that. Just listen to us.
It totally could have been worse.
It could have been.
We swear.
Who we got here?
Dave.
Hey, Dave, you're on News Talk STL. Top of the morning to you. We don't have Dave.
Dave, where are you?
Oh, man.
He said he would hold.
Dave had to go.
All right.
All right. Well, I'm sure what Dave was going to say was incredibly brilliant. All right.
Yeah.
All right. 314-912-1019. On Friday, J.B. Pritzker issued another executive order. And we know that only good things happen when Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker issues executive orders, right? So a lot of it was just extending a bunch of COVID shutdown era executive orders, a lot of technical stuff. Some of it was just stuff that has to stay on the books. But then he also included in there was the part about masking where his mask order, his completely ridiculous mask order in the state that the southern half of the state pretty much ignored, I think, was stricken out because it expired. But then he added in all individuals, including those who are fully vaccinated, are recommended to wear a face covering consistent with CDC guidance.
No.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. So here's the thing is you can make a recommendation all you want. There's nothing wrong with the government making a recommendation, and you can ignore the nonsense from the CDC if you want, or pick and choose if you think they get something right. When I saw that added in, I thought he's trying to warm people up to the idea of bringing back some orders. At least it's there. It's just a recommendation at this point, but it shows you his mindset that in a blanket setting, everybody should be wearing a mask again. He's just not going to force you. How gracious of him.
He's just like a health order crackhead over here.
I know.
Y'all got any more than masks?
I mean, it's like he has as difficult a time staying away from a authoritarian order as he does staying away from a buffet.
Illinois voters, if you want mask mandates and I'm saying vaccine mandates and all that good stuff that he has in his pocket somewhere, just vote Democrat then. You'll get them.
Right next to the Swiss cake rolls.
Mm-hmm.
But
that
because he's very, very, health is very important to him. The other thing here is that for somebody to even nibble around the edges on this, that tells me you've got a guy right there who thinks he's got nothing to worry about in the November elections.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. He thinks that has zero impact on how people are going to perceive him and perceive what his future role in the government would be if he was reelected. And I hope he keeps thinking that, because I imagine that even his would-be Democrat allies might look a little unfavorably on this.
If they knew about it. This was issued Friday afternoon, and I suspect we're maybe the only media in this that reaches the part of Illinois that we reach that's even talking about it.
That's a problem, guys.
Yeah.
That's a
It's
problem.
one of the reasons you do those things on Friday afternoons.
Yeah, that's true. It's the little info dump, the doldrums. What do they call it? It's like the
Taking
dumpster.
out the trash.
Taking out the trash, exactly.
Taking out the trash.
Hey, listener Dave said the FBI had confiscated his phone call, but he's back.
Those darn FBI guys.
Feds.
I'm telling you. Hey, Dave, you're on NewstalkSTL.
Good morning, gentlemen. Yeah, I couldn't figure out why I got the FBI voicemail when I was actually trying to be on hold with you guys. But, well, all I can say, boys, if you're going to come, you better bring a hell of a party because, well, you never know. I might stick Fat Boy over there in the Illinois on you. You know, Mike, you use the word nibbles. Do you think that fat ass actually nibbles anything? I mean, I would say it's more of a gobble. Hey, I'm a portly guy, but I don't know if I'm a piggly guy like him. He needs to quit worrying about mask mandates and obtain a scale, not a truck scale, but maybe eventually get down to a regular scale. It just these folks, they just incense me. God bless you guys again for keeping your ear to the grindstone. I just, especially on the weekends, because I love your show. I get you guys on almost the whole time I'm working on stuff. But these folks, like Adolf Page, we just need to call them what they are. They are Nazis. You wanted to call Orange Man a Nazi? I don't think so. But they are actual, true Nazis. The only thing they believe in is their way or the highway.
With the authoritarianism is, unfortunately, it looks like a how-to. And what it drives me nuts is when somebody like J.B. Pritzker wants to talk about health. I know somebody's mad at us right now. Dave, appreciate you being on News Talk STL, man. Once
Thanks,
again,
Dave.
have a great weekend. Is that he's talking about how much he cares about health. Somebody's mad at us for making fun of the guy who's obese.
You're fat shaming.
Yeah, I'm fat shaming.
Yes.
Okay. Don't go tell me you care about anybody's health and you're trying to protect health when you don't care about your own. To start with.
Especially considering that what we know one of the major comorbidities for COVID-19 specifically is obesity.
And diabetes.
Like all of those obesity-related things. Yep. So, I don't want to hear that you're all up on the health thing when it comes to COVID.
Yeah. So that's when I saw that. I thought, here it comes again. I don't know that we've found the midterm variant yet. If they're going to have a midterm variant, they better find it pretty quick. But at this point, I think that the Democrats are just saying, "Oh crap, this might actually be an election based on the issues." And that is possibly the worst thing. That is the worst thing that can happen to them. But it also means that we need to keep the conversation focused on what's happening right now. The Democrats, the left, tried to make it about everything else, whereas we're looking at exactly what's happening with the Biden administration, with the congressional Democrats, with governors like J.B. Pritzker. Now, he may be right. He may have nothing to worry about. Who knows? I mean, that's a very blue state there in Illinois. I hope Darren Bailey can make a run at it. We'll see what happens. But we can't make the mistake, and we can't take the bait of making the conversation about anything other than the lousy job they are doing right now.
It's good that you're cynical, Mike. I mean, you found this information, and I think it's good to pass it along to everybody because people aren't thinking about that stuff right now, and it's going to smack them in the face when one day they say, "Oh, we have mandates again?"
Right.
Oh, I didn't know. Well, you got to vote the guy out because anything that he tries to do is just sitting there waiting, and he's just going to lay low until after this election.
And here's the thing: is that for the majority of voters, they've already forgotten about all the misery caused by people like J.B. Pritzker, like people like Sam Page, like people like Tashara Jones, like people like Gavin Newsom, Kathy Hochul. I mean, I could go on and on and on and on and on and on down the road, down the line there. They've forgotten about this is not front and center because their cost of living has gone up so much. Their jobs have changed so much. Their 401k has crashed so much. We got a statement for one of our investment accounts in the mail the other day. Ooh, boy.
Yeah.
Not good.
Yeah, same.
People are feeling that, so they're not talking about these things. So when you're talking to voters who are undecided, don't lead with the mask thing, but keep it in your back pocket in case you need a little bit of icing on the cake to convince them that, yes, we cannot trust these people with control anymore. And by the way, if and when Republicans get elected, we're watching you just as close.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Don't think you get a free ride because there are an R behind your name.
Absolutely not. Actually, it'll be worse for you.
Oh, yeah.
if you try any of this bullcrap on us.
Absolutely. 314-912-1019. Hey, remember Rule 42?
Rule 42.
Yeah, the Biden administration hates Rule 42 because that's what Donald Trump used to keep some bunch of illegal immigrants in Mexico when they got to the border.
Oh yeah.
Oh, they remain in Mexico?
Well, it's similar to it. This is the one that has to do with the health and COVID and vaccination orders, the Rule 42.
Mm-hmm.
And so Biden administration is going to court to say, no, I want to get rid of that rule, except they're invoking it for some other ones at the same time. I can't make this stuff up. Tell you about it at 6:35 here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL. Listen anytime.
It happens
Anywhere. Everywhere.
Every day continues to bring more news.
With the News Talk STL app. Keep St. Louis's home for conservative talk with you wherever you go. Download the News Talk STL app in the App Store or at newstalkstl.com.
From the News Talk STL newsroom, I'm Joey Vasevich. Summit Processors, a scrap metal business in East Alton, Illinois, was the target of a police sting operation, which resulted in the seizure of all 287 of the catalytic converters on site. Summit Processors routinely bought converters but failed to have sellers fill out paperwork and show photo ID as required by state law. Police discovered more than 20 stolen motorcycles, drugs, and a sawed-off shotgun during an early morning raid of a suspected chop shop in Dogtown last week. The city's building inspector also condemned the home. Tashara Jones and Sam Page signed off on a plan to transfer the Rams settlement money to investments with a higher return, a move the owner of the Dome has advocated since June. The Regional Convention and Sports Complex Authority members have said that the region was missing out on as much as $28,000 a day by keeping the money in a low-yield trust account. The city of Brentwood is installing 5 license plate cameras throughout the city. 2 more cameras have permits processing. They are expected to be installed by the end of the month. And in sports, the Blues beat the Blue Jackets during Saturday's season opener at Enterprise. Ivan Barbashev and Jake Neighbors scored 20 seconds apart in the third period. Jordan Bennington made 23 saves and Vladimir Tarasenko scored twice. Next up, the Blues head to Seattle to face the Kraken on Wednesday. Puck drop is at 9 p.m. For in-depth coverage of these stories and more, go to newstalkstl.com.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Traffic Center.
Just one incident at the moment at the Rock Road in Pennsylvania. We had a report of a pedestrian struck. I'm not seeing any delays, but there may still be some restrictions. Otherwise, normal volume so far this morning. Looked at 55 running into the city. It still looks okay into that construction zone. Everything on 270 north up through Manchester still steady. No issues if you're coming in from St. Charles County at all on 70 or 64. This report sponsored by Blindster. Need new blinds or shades? Blindster.com offers custom-made blinds, shades, and shutters shipped right to you at prices less than the big box retailers. Blindster blinds, easy to install. They're guaranteed to fit too. Don't overpay for new blinds. Shop today and save big at Blindster.com. I'm Joe Sonderman from the News Talk STL Traffic Center.
From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
It's a cool morning out there with temperatures around 40 degrees this morning under clear skies. Going to be a breezy, sunny, chilly day. Yesterday we hit 70. Today, though, a high of only 48 degrees. First alert weather day coming up on Tuesday as temperatures across the area will dip into the 20s tomorrow morning for a hard freeze. We've got a freeze warning in effect until 9 a.m. on Tuesday. The high again only about 47 degrees, but it does warm up through the rest of the week. I'm KMOV First Alert meteorologist Kent Harris.
Hey, Tim Jones here with Tony Colombo for our friends Rodney and Jen Wallner at the Wallner Home Selling Team. If you're thinking about taking advantage of the market and selling your home, don't wait. Call the Wallners now. Put St. Louis's #1 home selling team to work for you. Rodney and Jen have the experience and work ethic that sets them apart from all the rest. That's why they sell 15 times more homes per year than your typical realtor and have so many qualified buyers right now, they'll guarantee fee to obtain you an offer. The results, Tony, speak for themselves.
That's right, Tim. In fact, I recently benefited from those results personally. My wife and I couldn't be happier with the job the Wallners did for us, selling our old home in less than 2 days for significantly more than we were asking for and finding us the perfect new home. Like so many others, we loved working with Rodney and Jen, the Wallner home selling team with Berkshire Hathaway. So if you're thinking about selling your home, don't wait. Call the Wallners now at 314-810-SOLD. That's 314-810-SOLD.
Michael's Flooring Outlet is a locally owned and operated family business for more than 28 years, featuring exclusive products, unbeatable prices, and expert installation. You can choose from a wide variety of flooring options, including carpet, hardwood, laminate, ceramic tile, luxury vinyl, natural stone, plus many other options. And you'll gain a peace of mind knowing that your flooring and carpet installation will be done right the first time when you hire the experts at Michael's. You can shop in-store at one of their 3 convenient locations or shop from home online. Check out everything Michael's Flooring has to offer at igotfloored.com.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Chris, Stell, and I are back on Monday at 4:25. We'll have former U.S. Senator Jim Talent at 5:25. Susie Moore of Red State.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps.
Weekdays at 3:30
on News Talk STL. Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, 99.1 HD3 and NewstalkSTL.com.
All right, to 650. The question I got for you, would you sign up and take a trip around the moon? Gabe's like, oh, yeah.
It's like, well, how much? I mean, sign me up, but you might have to wait list me for a while. I got to put on layaway.
Yeah. Well, as long as it's going to be before this is reality, that may actually work out for you. So 650, I'll tell you about that. It's 6:37 right now. I'm Mike Ferguson. Got Gabe Pfeiffer in here. Got Ken Williams in here. I promised last week, I promised our friends over at Freedom Principle that I would do this. They've got a meeting tonight where they are going to go through the November ballot issues on the Missouri side of the listening area. So you've got the 4 constitutional amendments, and then you've got the referendum question. And so they are going to be having more of an in-depth discussion of that. Now, if you want to hear the highlights of what they came up with on it, you can go to the News Talk STL podcast and just look for Freedom Principle Mo, and you can hear that conversation. But that's going to happen tonight. That is going to happen at 7 p.m. It's a 90-minute meeting. It's going to be at the St. Louis County Library, Grants Village branch, which is on Music Road, 9700 Music Road in St. Louis. So you can go to freedomprinciplemode.org to get directions and more information. But I promised him I was going to put that out there, so I done it.
Okay.
There it is. All right, the Biden administration says it's going to begin using this. Jeez. It's going to begin using the Title 42 public health order to have Venezuelan immigrants turn around and go to Mexico instead of entering the U.S. Fox News' Griff Jenkins has the report. He's in Eagle Pass, Texas.
All along the banks of the Rio Grande, on the Mexican side, you'll find Venezuelan passports because with the Title 42 rule extended and enforced for them, they don't want to identify for fear of being sent back. Now, in the agreement the U.S. has with Mexico, only 200 Venezuelans per day at this crossing will be accepted. We are seeing Venezuelan migrants protesting not being allowed to stay in the U.S. after illegally crossing into the U.S. hoping to apply for asylum. We spoke to a group that had just crossed here in Eagle Pass after the rule went into effect. Meanwhile, no sign of the surge of migrants slowing down.
Okay, a couple things on this. First of all, they're protesting against it. F you.
Yes, absolutely.
F you.
And only 200 are allowed.
Right. Yeah.
What the hell? How many are coming across?
Yeah. But that's my first thing. You've got the nerve to come up here, demand to come in illegally, ditch your documentation to try to lie your way in, and then protest our rules. F you.
Yeah.
That's I don't give a crap what your life situation is. F you for your arrogance. We don't want you. End of story. Also, the Biden administration is still in court trying to remove Title 42's usage against other immigrants right now.
It is wild. The rank hypocrisy,
My
the
gosh.
rank stupidity, the absolute incompetence of this administration. It's kind of staggering sometimes when you really think about it.
And it's also documented that Venezuela is releasing.
Not documented.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not. There have been reports on it in some conservative media, but there's been no confirmation and no proof of that so far. There's accusations. I'm not saying it's not happening, but it's not documented yet.
All right.
Yep. Some conservative
here.
media
How
report.
about this then? If it is possibly happening, it should be shut down.
Absolutely.
I
Nope,
mean,
no
just
question.
on the rumor.
Yep.
Of people coming from jails, being sent up here. Just that rumor, they should be shutting down the whole border.
What's happened is multiple Congress critters have asked Secretary Mayorkas for information about this because some of the real conservative news sites are reporting this, but they've only cited unnamed sources who weren't allowed to talk to media. So I tried to find confirmation independently somewhere, and it just doesn't exist. That's not saying it's not happening, but it's not confirmed. It's not documented. But they wanted this, and the White House, not surprisingly, isn't responding.
So they're not even going to look into it.
Well, they're not going to talk about it.
They're not going to talk about it.
So
of course.
theoretically, you can get convicted of murder, convicted of rape, anything else that happens down in Venezuela, crossing the border, not being documented, and then going into the infrastructure of the United States and doing whatever they want to do with whomever.
Yeah. Matter of fact, 25,000 Venezuelan migrant encounters in August. That's just Venezuelan.
Oh my gosh.
25,000, just Venezuelan. And first of all, that's a long trip from Venezuela up to the U.S.
Yeah.
And they got to go through Mexico, who doesn't like Venezuela. So Mexico's not our friend on this.
No.
On right here. And so the administration announced a program allowing up to 24,000 Venezuelans to move in after confirming they have a supporter in the U.S. to provide financial support and pass security screenings and pass health screenings.
No.
So if you can get through all of that.
No. No. How about no?
Yeah.
How about no? All of these fake asylum seekers need to just go back. I mean, that's the thing. We have an asylum system set up for people who are actually fleeing mortal danger from their countries. You know, it's like we have that system in place. And what these people are trying to do is use this as an economic ladder to climb from this, their own country's dysfunctional economy to our sort of dysfunctional economy, because ours is even better in its dysfunction. So we can't abide simply being the lifeboat for the world, because if you notice, you can overload a lifeboat and it ceases to be a lifeboat.
Well, let's put that into perspective. Since Biden's been in the administration since January 2021, there have been they're estimating, this is a low estimate, by the way, 3.8 million people crossing over, and that includes the gotaways. Now, if you look at that in perspective, Missouri has 6.2 million.
About 6 million people. Yeah.
About 6 million people. 3.8, and that could go as high as 4 million. You're almost talking about a whole state of Missouri, or 3/4 of a state of Missouri, coming in during a year and a half time.
On Fox and Friends this weekend, Republican Louisiana U.S. Senator Bill Cassidy reacts to sort of the revival of the order, the fact that the Biden administration is suddenly now fond of Title 42.
The Biden administration effectively wants open borders. Effectively, they want that. And now it's just totally out of control. Even they have to do something. And so they're going back to policies that the last administration did, which were the last policies that worked.
I think it's easy enough.
Yeah, that's pretty much how we're going. But while they're in court arguing that they shouldn't exist.
For other immigrants and other areas, they wanted to remove that. And it's funny because I hadn't talked about Title 42. I hadn't even thought about Title 42 in a long time. The Trump administration put that rule into effect, and then the Biden administration wanted to remove it, and then there was a lawsuit against the Biden administration on removing the use of that rule, and so they're in court trying to fight that. Which I'll be really honest, I don't understand how an executive order from one presidential or one decision by one administration can bind the next one from that. I mean, it seems to me a president would have the right to get rid of an executive order. I mean, Trump could have gotten rid of any Barack Obama orders. I mean, that's a whole other thing. But the fact that they're going to court and they've decried this in the media and they've They've bashed the use of this rule, and now they're like, well, this might work to help us deal with this problem over here after we created the problem, in effect.
Wow.
It's crazy.
Unbelievable.
I hate these guys.
And why? And while they're doing this,
do.
how much do we know about what they're trying to do as far as getting them the ability to vote? I mean, do we know that there's a lot of that going on at all?
I haven't heard anything like that.
Yeah, I know in New York they were trying to get people, undocumented people to vote.
New York and Washington, D.C., their non-citizen voting on paper, at least, specifically says you have to be legal and prove it. They're not arguing that illegals should be able to vote. But when
that's my point,
right? But when you start the path to say, okay, you're a legal, which by the way, legal immigration is very good for the country.
Hello,
yeah.
Very good for the country. We if anything, we need more legal immigration. But illegal immigration is not a matter of okay, so they went through the back door instead of the front door. No, it's a very different effect and a very, very different dynamic.
But there's no more room for the legal immigrations. All the room's taken up.
Let me put it in a very simple way. A sovereign nation has the right to say no to anybody for any reason or no reason.
Yeah, absolutely.
The immigration policy of any sovereign nation should be in place for one reason, and that is to benefit that sovereign nation.
Period.
Yep. 314-912-1019. This is 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Traffic Center.
On 55 North, we're crowded. Butler Hill up through 270, mainly in the right lanes, and then slow Bayless up through Gasconade at about 4 minutes to your commute. North 270, there's a couple of heavy pockets running up through Tesson Ferry and Gravois. It's busy, but it's moving. Doherty Ferry through Manchester. Bridge downtown, everything looks fine if you're headed in westbound from Illinois so far. This report sponsored by Blindster. Want to save big on new blinds? Blindster.com offers custom-made blinds, shades, and shutters shipped directly to you and at prices less than the big box retailers. Shop Blindster now and save 45% off any order. Just use the code RADIO. Offer ends soon. Shop today at blindster.com. I'm Joe Sonderman from the News Talk STL Traffic Center.
Are you tired of hard chlorinated water drying your skin out, tasting bad, and ruining your fixtures? Jones Air and Water Treatment has a solution to this pollution. Our Hydratech H2O leaves you with great tasting soft water at all fixtures in your home with one unit. Call Jones Air and Water at 636-899-1040 or visit us on the web at joneswater.com. You can be a filter or buy a filter. Jones Air and Water, 636-899-1040 or joneswater.com on the web. Call us now.
Start a podcast for your business today with Epic STL Podcasts. Engage existing and potential customers, build trust in your brand, and drive traffic to your business. Log on to NewstalkSTL.com and click on the Epic STL Podcast button to learn more.
Packages start at $29.99 a month with signed agreement. Restrictions apply. Speak to a representative for complete offer details. See Vivint.com for license details. Terms and conditions apply.
Homeowners, if you're looking for the best in home security and smart home technology at a price you can actually afford, we have great news. Now you can get Vivint's award-winning home security systems starting at about $1 a day. U.S. News and World Report has recognized Vivint as the best professionally installed home security system of 2022. And right now, you can get Vivint's home security technology for about $1 a day. Plus, get free professional installation from a licensed technician. Protect your home and loved ones for as low as $1 a day. Call right now for your free home security consultation.
800-561-3405. 800-561-3405. 800-561-3405. That's 800-561-3405.
News, analysis, opinion.
They're mad at inflation, crime. They're mad at gas prices. And the border with fentanyl rushing across it.
1019 and 94.1.
Vote, vote. The midterms were first Tuesday in November.
News Talk STL. This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com. We give you news, analysis, opinion, and more. only on News Talk STL. Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019. Mike Ferguson in the morning.
This is one of those, no, I'm not fear-mongering because I don't like drag queens in public schools. Now, I don't like drag queens in public schools, but this is one of those things that's now documented in one state. There's an effort, as in bill being proposed, that says if a parent tries to interfere with their children's gender dysphoria mental illness, that they could be charged criminally.
It's wild.
There are politicians who are actually putting pen to paper and wanting a vote saying that's abuse, that's neglect, if you will not allow a child, a minor, to transition.
Can we start with a parent can't interfere in their own child's anything?
That's where it's going. But you have to assume that the child is the property of the state, that we are all the property of the state, to think that this is okay. So here's what's going to happen. At 7:05, Tyler O'Neill from the Daily Signal, who is the managing editor of the Daily Signal, he wrote the article on this over the weekend. He's going to be with us at 7:05 to tell us about what's happening in that particular state on the East Coast and why we should pay attention to it across the country. So that's coming 14 minutes from right now. All right, 6:51 right now. Got Gabe Pfeiffer here. Got Ken Williams here. The world's first ever space tourist is booking passage to the great beyond. Once again. Get excited, Gabe. Get excited.
Oh, yes.
Fox News' Eben Brown has the story.
U.S. entrepreneur Dennis Tito made headlines and drew controversy when back in 2001, he paid money to fly aboard a Russian spacecraft to the International Space Station. Tito is now 82 years old and is buying tickets for he and his wife to one day fly aboard a SpaceX Starship craft for a trip around the moon. The price of the tickets is unknown and the flight schedule hasn't been announced, but it is expected to be years off. The flight has 10 open seats remaining. Eben Brown, Fox News.
10 seats.
It's got open seats.
There you go.
Hey, Janet, get ready.
We're going on vacation.
We're going on vacation.
What? Better than the lake?
I want to see the other side of the moon, and I want to see, if they're actually doing things inside the moon. I hear all these stories about cool things that they're doing, and we might be able to see it if we go around it.
Yes, there's the aliens back there, and there's the giant temple to the gods that created the xenomorphs.
That's right.
Yeah. But yes, no. But honestly, I would really, really love to get. I mean, even just some of the low Earth orbit sort of flights. I would love to jump on one of those things, just because I'd like to experience, microgravity or zero G. That just that alone, being able to see the Earth from that perspective, I think would be one of those wonderful experiences that can't be replicated.
Now, the other one where Elon Musk was taking people up. I mean, basically, it was just where you were technically in outer space. You were up there for a short amount of time, and then you just came back down to Earth.
Yeah, It was very super upper atmosphere sort of flight, essentially. Yeah. And yes, you touch the edge of space. So that you technically, once you get to a certain altitude, technically you are an astronaut, and you get your little astronaut wings. And that's one of those things. It's like, hey, you have a little a little case with your astronaut wings, and you get to tell people, I was an astronaut.
Well, because and people forget. A lot of people don't realize that is the definition of an astronaut, because we think, oh no, it's somebody who's gone through all this extra training and education and master's.
And seeing down below on the moon activity of us building, things to get ready to go to Mars. I think that's the objective, is to get a place that's easier to get a launch to Mars, and that would be the moon.
is Mars.
Am I right,
I
Gabe?
mean,
Yeah, and NASA's focus as well is currently the project, and I can't remember the name of the project, but basically we get to the moon, we put a satellite around the moon, a permanent satellite base, permanent ground base on the moon, and all of that would be research for doing the same to Mars. So yeah, at some point, I think 20 years is within that window where tourists could basically do a flyby of our moon base.
Okay, so then let me ask, you're the rocket scientist, literally rocket scientist on this, Gabe. What is the benefit for this other than commercial industry? I mean, what's in it for us?
The technology development for dealing with just the research to get there, the research to stay there, and the research capabilities of microgravity or zero-G things. There are experiments that go up with every flight that we have, as far as I know, where we learn about how even biological life works, how it responds to various environments and things like that, and all of those have some sort of benefit. We come away with some product, some thing that benefits us down here. So for instance, the moon missions. They produce basically some of the earlier technologies for microwaves and for dehydrating food for like the MREs that our military uses. Velcro was one of those innovations that kind of came out of research for going in there. There are a lot of things that just kind of fall out of developing technology for just dealing with the challenges of space travel. So I expect even more things to come out of that.
Now, you know that if you manage to find a way onto that first flight, and there are like 12 flights or whatever.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, the danger.
Yes.
So you're like, okay, I'm doing it. I mean, if you get in and like, hi, I'm your pilot. I'm Major Tom.
This is Major Tom to ground control. Yeah, I mean, space travel
kudos
has
to anybody who
challenges.
just got that reference, by the way. That's
well, the thing is, I got to rely on basically guys like me who did all the engineering work to get. So I'm like, well, I mean, I would rely on me to do it. So I'll stand behind those things.
There you go.
Yeah. So
it's amazing to think that could be an actual commercial product.
I'm so excited for.
How long does it take to get to the moon?
I think I'm trying.
I mean,
to
the last
couple days, I think, isn't it?
Apollo is the last mission that were out there, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I think
we go all the way back to that.
I think there and back was like a week or something like that.
Wow.
I can't remember. Apollo.
It's like 238,000 miles, I believe.
Something like that.
Yeah.
I'm looking it up.
Okay.
Either way.
So
I'm trying to keep myself healthy because I want to be alive the next 20 to see what's going on. I just want to know, because when they finally decided that they're going to go back to the moon, I was so excited about that idea. Just because I know now we've got the technology to do so much more.
But then Gabe's the show off in the office. It's like, hey, what'd you do on your vacation?
I went to the moon.
It's like, look at this. I went to Branson. What'd you do? I went to the moon.
Well, based on how much I expect this thing to cost, if I'm going into the office to brag about it, I'm heading to the president's office because that's me.
Right.
It's like, so it's not that big of a flex when you're at that point. Actually, yes, it's a matter of hours. I think it's 51 hours Apollo took to get to the lunar surface. So depending on your windows, depending on how long your thruster burns and how much fuel you're bringing with you, things like that. Yeah, it could be a matter of hours or
2 or 3 days.
2 or 3 days, something like that.
Nice vacation,
That's
Gabe.
a good weekend getaway.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Man.
You got me jazzed this morning, man. I was like, that's so cool. It's within reach.
All right, let's bring you back down to earth. Just ahead, some politicians want to punish parents who stand up for their children when it comes to the gender dysphoria nonsense.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness 101. Wellness 101 is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense, science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on NewstalkSTL. For more information, visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewstalkSTL.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Greg Clugston in Washington. At least 3 people were killed when a drone slammed into a residential building in the Ukrainian capital today. Correspondent Charles de Ledesma has more on the latest attack.
City Mayor Vitaly Klitschko says at least 18 people have been rescued from the rubble of one apartment building, and rescue workers are trying to extract others known to be under the debris. An Associated Press photographer caught one of the drones on camera, its triangle-shaped wing and pointed warhead clearly visible against the blue sky. President Volodymyr Zelensky says in a social media post, the whole night and the whole morning, the enemy terrorizes the civilian population. Kamikaze drones and missiles are attacking all of Ukraine. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
Residents in Raleigh, North Carolina paid tribute to 5 shooting victims at a weekend vigil. Jennifer Metallo, chaplain coordinator for the Billy Graham Rapid Response Team, says the mood in the community is somber.
This community is reeling. There's a senselessness to things like this, and so we just pray for that hope, that spark of hope, to just come back into this community.
Audio courtesy of WTVD. Connecticut's Office of the Inspector General has released body camera footage in connection with last week's shooting in the town of Bristol. 2 officers and the suspected gunman were killed. Authorities say the suspect ambushed 3 officers from behind as they were responding to a 911 call. The 3rd officer was shot in his leg. There is significant radioactive contamination at an elementary school in suburban St. Louis, where nuclear weapons were produced during World War II. The report from environmental researchers is expected to be a major topic at this week's school board meeting. More at townhall.com.
Hello?
Hey, stranger.
Oh, hi. Thank goodness it's you. I was afraid to answer the phone.
Why? What's up?
The credit card companies are after me. They want me to make payments, and the calls never stop.
Ouch. Been there before, but I got help from Trinity Debt Management.
Trinity?
Yeah, I called, and right away, Trinity contacted my creditors and got my interest rates cut in half. They ended all the late fees and over-limit charges, and they stopped those annoying phone calls.
Bet that was a relief.
Yep. Then they put me on a plan that consolidated my bills into one easy monthly payment. That way, I paid off my debt fast while saving thousands.
Nice.
Trinity even showed me how to plan and meet a monthly budget. So now I'm debt-free for keeps.
Wow. Do you still have their number?
Sure. Here, write this down and call 1-800-990-6976.
Can you repeat that?
1-800-990-6976. That's 1-800-990-6976.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Traffic Center.
2 crashes already this morning. One coming in eastbound on 270 east of West Florissant. That one involves injuries and lane blockage. And 270 southbound at the ramp to 64 westbound. That one's blocking the right lane. Traffic is backing up close to Olive already. 55 northbound, Bayless up through Gasconade. Add 8 minutes to your morning commute. Headed into that work zone. This report sponsored by Blindster. Want to save big on new blinds? Blindster.com offers custom-made blinds, shades, and shutters shipped right to you at prices less than the big box retailers. Shop Blindster now and save 40% off any order. Just use the code RADIO. Offer ends soon, so shop today at Blindster.com. I'm Joe Sonderman. That's the very latest from the News Talk STL Traffic Center.
From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
It's a cool morning out there with temperatures around 40 degrees this morning under clear skies. Going to be a breezy, sunny, chilly day. Yesterday we hit 70. Today, though, a high of only 48 degrees. First alert weather day coming up on Tuesday as temperatures across the area will dip into the 20s tomorrow morning for a hard freeze. We've got a freeze warning in effect until 9 a.m. on Tuesday. The high again only about 47 degrees, but it does warm up through the rest of the week. I'm KMOV First Alert meteorologist Kent Earhart.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD.
Report cards may not always be the most fun things for kids to get, but they are important. Their grades show how well they're doing in class and where they might need improvement. But why shouldn't schools get grades too? And shouldn't parents be able to see how their child's school compares to others? We at the Show Me Institute strongly believe the answer is yes. And that's why we came up with the Missouri School Rankings Project. Click on the website moschoolrankings.org, and it's all there. Rankings and letter grades for all the schools in Missouri. The rankings are based on several categories, such as student performance in English language arts and math, ACT scores, and graduation rates. Then we take the rankings and come up with a grade point average, just like your child has. Each school and district has a grade, and the website is easy to use. Don't you want to know how your child's school stacks up? Now you can. Learn more at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
The news and talk that affects St. Louis.
Raised interest rate by 0.75 percentage point.
Nothing short of bad. Vladimir Putin threatened
not to ease tensions, but to escalate them through the threat of nuclear weapons.
This is 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson.
You play ball like a girl.
Gabe Pfeiffer.
I triple dog dare you.
Get up, can't you hear the alarm?
Get up, St. Louis.
So it's time to get out of bed. Pour yourself the greatest cup of Kofifi the world has ever seen. Rise up with one voice, drain the swamp, and take back our country. Today's the day we're going to do it, and it's time to do it right now, believe me.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
All right, quick change of plans here. We're going to talk to Tyler O'Neill from the Daily Signal at 8:30 or 7:35, excuse me. So 30 minutes from right now. I'm just going to cop to it. I was messaging with Tyler, and I couldn't see my screen yesterday because of my eye issues, and I just misread his thing. So 7:35, we're going to have Tyler on with us. That is my mess up there on teasing that, but he will be with us at 7:35. We just talked to him, so you do not want to miss this. I mean, this is one of those things where each side talks about how fringy the other is and how the other is just trying to scare you. But we now have actual elected officials in one state who are saying, if you try to stop your child from, and I'm using air quotes here, transitioning to the gender that they're not and never will be, that they think you should be charged by the government. Now, keep in mind criminally. And keep in mind that you've got in the state of California a bill that says if children can just make it across the border, runaway kids can make it across the border into California, they'll become the guardian and guide children through this process.
I don't understand what their end goal is on all this, on the whole thing.
Well, that's what we're going to talk to Tyler about.
They want our kids.
Yeah. And we throw our hands up and we're like, this is insane, this is crazy, and we're right. But how many things that are reality right now, we thought that's insane, that's crazy 10, 15, 20 years ago, that'll never happen that's happening right now.
Yeah.
Hey, the slippery slope is real. I mean, no one can argue anymore that when we make an argument and say, hey, this opens the door to this, you can't make the argument anymore that's absurd.
Right.
No.
You can't do that.
Yeah.
The slippery slope is real.
Put that tinfoil cap away. It's no longer being used.
Oh, man. All right, so 7:35, we're going to have that conversation. You know, and at 7:20, let's just talk about the fringiness of the left.
Yeah.
And our friends who are listening on the left, listen, 314-912-1019. That phone number is open to you as well. I want you in the conversation as well. For instance, Tammy Duckworth running for re-election in the U.S. Senate. She is making part of her platform. She wants to ban some guns, despite the Supreme Court's recent rulings that says the Second Amendment means what it says. And she also wants the Hyde Amendment repealed so the taxpayers actually can be forced to pay for abortions. And she wants to codify what was in Roe versus Wade into federal law, which would then, in her hopes, override any sort of state laws that make them pro-life. So you want to talk about fringe? That's fringe. Also, in the state of California, they just can't stop harassing conservative Christians over there.
Colorado.
They just won't do it. Colorado. There's a woman who's a wedding planner, and she says, I really don't want to take business from gay couples. Now, that's her business. You can agree with it. You can disagree with it. And I'm not even arguing whether she's right or she's wrong, but she's got a right to say, I will plan the wedding of Tim and Susie. I will not plan the wedding of Jake and Adam. I that's her business. You can like it, not like it, boycott her, whatever. But the Human Rights Commission in the state of Colorado, the same organization that went after the cake bakers, they're going after her now. I'm going to argue that is absolute fringe thinking. It has been for years. It still is fringe thinking. So let's do that conversation in about 10 minutes, guys.
And I want to hear from my Democrat friends who are listening right now. Talk us off the ledge here, because it feels as though the vast majority of the Democrats out there are basically have gotten fringy, or at the very least they co-sign the fringe and are just kind of quiet about it. But I'd like to think that there's a much larger constituency out there of Democrats who are reasonable people, who are in the Tulsi Gabbard, who are in the that sort of realm. Talk to us. Talk us off the ledge here.
Yeah, we won't even ask for your name. We'll just call you a name, and then you can just tell us exactly your true feelings. Because, I mean, right now, your current Democrat Party is endorsing anti-Semites in the squad. I mean, you've got people who are so far on the left, they're calling themselves, no, we are not Democrats. We're socialists. We're in the Democrat Party. And
not to mention, there is some local fringiness with left-wing Democrats from Tashara Jones and Sam Page and others as well. So we'll roll that into one conversation because it's a favorite talking point of the left, whether it's mainstream legacy media, whether it's Democratic candidates, whether it's Democratic operatives, to talk about the extremism and the fringe on the right.
Yes.
Now, we got a few fringy folks that we need to be distancing from or cutting off.
Absolutely.
There's a few of those out there, without a doubt. But I don't think it compares at all to the scope of the fringe on the left.
You've got a weaponized FBI going after parents.
Oh, that's fringe. And what are the parents upset about? Fringy stuff.
Fringy stuff.
Yeah.
Help us understand.
Yeah. 314-912-1019. We'll kick off that conversation real quick. Kind of a roundup around the talking head shows on Sunday. It's fascinating to me that the Democrats in Congress and the Biden administration, it looks like they understand that they have to address what's happening in the economy and what's happening to people right now. Their argument is that, yeah, we're doing a great job.
It's amazing. I don't get it. I don't get it.
The Inflation Reduction Act was urgent. We had to get this done with all the $1 trillion of spending, all the new regulations, all of basically the Green New Deal, some of the Build Back Better, all of these things that were rejected on their own, but that was forced through as part of a deal with Kristen Sinema and
Joe
Manchin. And so White House economic advisor Cecilia Rouse was on with Dana Bash on CNN with Dana Bash, and Bash had a very simple, direct question for her.
A lot of Americans are curious when the so-called Inflation Reduction Act will really start to bring down inflation.
So the many parts of the bill will start to take effect next year. For example, there are tax credits for energy to help people weatherize their homes and also bring down other forms of energy costs. So we are focused on helping to make that transition to clean energy in a way that brings down energy costs for families.
That's the talking point.
Yeah.
But not now. We just had to rush to do this. Pete Buttigieg was on with ABC. He was on this week, and he basically is arguing you should be thanking us.
We have our challenges right now, but when the president took office, we were facing an economy that was at risk of going into free fall. The American Rescue Plan stopped that, and it went directly into easing the burden for Americans with those tax benefits that Americans got.
What burdens are eased right now, Pete?
It's as though they envision this world of absolute destruction, this post-apocalyptic wasteland that their policies avoided. So what they're saying is, the pain you're feeling now is nothing compared to the pain that we saved you from.
People in mohawks and
that's exactly
face
right.
Paint and Tina Turner singing songs. I mean,
spiky football pads
like the Road Warriors from wrestling.
Exactly.
Jeez. Oh my gosh. All right. So that's what we're supposed to thank him for.
Yeah.
Is that we don't live in that world.
Thank you, Democrats, for saving us from the apocalypse.
But the thing is,
the Great Purge.
Do you know which areas of the country look exactly like that, though?
Every city that's run by
Every
Democrats.
major city run by Democrats.
I saw a 5-minute video last night, actually, before bed. It was kind of haunting because I had a nightmare about it. About the guy was driving through L.A., and all he did was run the camera for 5 minutes, and he was narrating, and he said, "I'm not exaggerating here. This is L.A. These are the blocks of L.A. I'm just driving," and it was like Haiti.
I've seen it firsthand. I've been there. I've seen it. I know exactly what. I haven't seen that video, but I've seen L.A.
The streets lined with homeless tents and human
makeshift
waste.
Cardboard buildings, and
some blocks just have a smell that I don't even really want to describe to you. Let's just put it that way.
And then The Walking Dead. People who are just so strung out that they're just walking around like zombies. Or just standing there. Out. Just unconscious. Just standing. It's crazy. That's wild.
I've seen that in St. Louis, actually, and that's like one of the symptoms of fentanyl.
Yeah.
You can stand there, your
body's
dead
locked
on your
up,
feet.
basically.
Yeah, and if you don't think that what Ken is saying is true, is drive by the Enterprise Center at about 4 o'clock in the morning pretty much any day, and you'll see exactly what he's talking about.
Yeah.
All right, 314-912-1019. This is 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Try to make me stop, no inspiration. You have a soul so dark, it is no more. And all at once.
Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. Made in St. Louis for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL.
I have had enough of this.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Traffic Center.
It's getting busier. Eastbound 270 at New Halls Ferry, we've got a crash involving a tractor trailer. It doesn't look serious, but they've got the two right lanes closed, so a delay back near West Florissant. On 270 southbound at I-64 West, we've got a crash. Right lane closed. Jam back to Olive. That is about an 11-minute delay. If you're 55 north, add 6 minutes to your commute running up through Bayless and Gasconade. That's heavy. Got a crash on the Veterans Memorial Parkway west of Bryan Road and one on Florissant Road south of I-70. This report sponsored by Blindster. Want to save big on new blinds? Blindster.com offers custom-made blinds, shades, and shutters shipped right to you at prices less than the big box retailers. Shop Blindster now and save 45% off any order just by using the code RADIO. Shop today at Blindster.com. I'm Joe Sonderman from the News Talk STL Traffic Center.
Mike Ferguson here. Retirement should be a time you can relax. No more stress from work. But there's one thing you can't forget about when retiring. That's your money. Do you have enough saved to fund your income for life and keep up with inflation? How will you claim your Social Security benefits? And what about long-term care? The ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel is here to help answer all of these questions. You can hear their latest views on the markets and investing during On the Money, hosted by Stifel financial advisors Bob Stockdale and Eric Robert, every Saturday morning at 9, right here on News Talk STL. They can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create an investment portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call 636-695-2650, 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
Do you have a property that is more hassle than is worth? Hi, this is David with House Sold Easy, and I buy houses cash. If you own a property and want to sell it fast at a fair price, call me at 314-293-3000. Do you own an ugly property, a behind on mortgage payment property, a lazy tenant that won't pay rent property, a too much junk and clutter property, or even a, hey, I'm curious about a fair cash offer property? Well, don't worry. I buy them all, and I want to make you a fair cash offer. Call me at 314-293-3000.
Fox News commentary.
Nancy Pelosi threatened to punch out our former president, proving once again the left is fine with political violence so long as they're inflicting it. I'm Tommy Lahren. More next.
Businesses don't run on automation or algorithms alone. What powers businesses are your people and the people they serve. At Cintas, your dedicated service reps understand what you need to help you keep your employees feeling safe, comfortable, and performing their best. So your business can too. For workwear, essential cleaning products, first aid and safety supplies, and fire protection services? Visit Cintas.com
Oh, I'm ready!
and get ready for the workday.
In a previously unseen video that aired on CNN late last week, Speaker Pelosi can be heard threatening to punch Donald Trump out if he approached the Capitol on January 6th. But that's not all. She also said she's been waiting for this and that she'd punch him, go to jail, and be happy about it. Boy, for all the grief Donald Trump got for not being presidential, I'm going to go ahead and say relishing the thought of punching out a sitting president isn't very congressional, Nancy. But are the Democrats at all condemning her threat of violence? No, of course not. They're applauding it as valiant and brave. They whine and cry January 6th to their blue in the face, but somehow when it comes to the countless examples of violence against conservatives, they're dead silent or cheering it. So next time a Democrat wants to yammer on about the horror of January 6th, remind them how little they actually care about public and political decency. I'm Tommy Lahren.
Subscribe and watch your favorite News Talk STL shows.
Mike Ferguson in the morning. The Vic Porcelli Show. Columbo and Katie. Jones and Arps.
Webcam streaming on Facebook, Twitter, Rumble.
Subscribe and watch.
News Talk STL. Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019. Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, 99.1 HD3 and NewstalkSTL.com.
7:35. We're going to talk to Tyler O'Neill from the Daily Signal. He's got an article that is called "I'll Protect Parental Rights from Transgender Child Abuse Bill." And he is quoting the Attorney General of the state of Virginia because there is a proposal there to criminalize parents who stand up against this whole so-called transgender thing. And it would criminalize parents who say no to their children wanting to live a dysphoria life.
It's wild.
It's really something.
It's really crazy.
So this is where we are now in the conversation. So we're going to talk to him in about 13 minutes or so. I'm Mike Ferguson. Happy Monday to you. After that tease.
Yeah.
I got Gabe Pfeiffer here and Ken Williams here. I want to talk about this fringiness because this is one of the things we hear around every election is how extreme the other side is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Republicans say it against the left. Democrats say it against conservatives. But right now, I'm trying to figure out how on earth the left has any semblance of pointing to the right and saying, you're extremists. I mean, 314-912-1019. And if you're one of our liberal friends, you are welcome to be part of the conversation. I really want to know where you're coming from on this.
Make your case.
And here's where I came up with the idea to have this conversation is on KSDK's website, they did an interview with Tammy Duckworth, Illinois U.S. Senator. She's running for re-election. And her platform, among other things, is calling for an overturning of the Hyde Amendment. Now, remember, the Hyde Amendment says you can't use taxpayer money to directly pay for abortions.
Right.
That's what it's saying. It's not saying that you can't have legal abortions in the country.
As a state.
Right. It's saying that the government can't pay for elective abortions. That's what it is. So she wants to overturn that so that government could force taxpayers to pay for abortions. And then she says she wants to ban assault weapons.
Whatever those are.
Whatever those are. Well, what we found going back to the Clinton administration is assault weapons or whatever looks scary and you want to ban. That's what an assault weapon is.
Is an assault weapon can be a knife or gun or a car too? I mean,
you can use those for assault.
You can use them for assault, yeah. And so an anti-Second Amendment, pro-taxpayer funded abortion, and she also says she wants to codify what was in Roe versus Wade into federal law, which actually would be legal, would be constitutional.
Sure, you could try it.
Yeah, because the whole ruling that overturned Roe versus Wade is that it was never passed legislatively. It was just a court order. And so the way it stands right now is all 50 states now have jurisdiction over that issue in their policy. Missouri is pro-life, Illinois is pro-death. And she wants to make sure the whole country returns to being pro-death. So it would, in her mind, try to override states like Missouri that have taken a pro-life stance. And so that's fringe. That's extremist.
That's fringy.
And you look at the way this rolls down. Tashara Jones and the Board of Aldermen in St. Louis City set aside over $1 million to subsidize abortions in Illinois. So they've set aside COVID money, which we're all paying for. We will someday because we got to pay this back, this printed, debt-ridden money, as a virtue signal to say, okay, we're not allowed to pay for the abortion itself in Fairview Heights, but we'll pay for your gas, we'll pay for your hotel room, we'll pay for your child care, we'll pay for everything we possibly can other than that actual invoice.
That's the one that gets me, the child care. So you can go and kill their
So you go kill their siblings,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Wild.
And then Sam Page tried to do that, and even the liberal county council was like, yeah, dude, no, we've got a $40 million shortfall. We're not setting $1 million aside to pay for somebody to go literally 12 miles that way. 9 miles that way to do that. So if it was too extreme for even that, it's fringy. Now, are there some kooks who try to identify with the right? Oh yeah, absolutely. And we should be shutting them out, and we should be calling them out when they're crazy. And there are a few.
Oh sure. Yeah, we've got kind of movements on our side that are pretty fringy. But the thing is, they're not running offices. They're not inside think tanks.
They're not leaders. Yeah.
They're not the leaders of those parties. They're not being looked to as, oh yeah, these are the guides that got the lodestars for our ideology. But on the left, you've got people like Duckworth. You've got people like your AOCs and your Tashara Joneses who are getting all the air. They're sucking all the air out of the room, and they're leading policy drives to actually do these things. And we haven't even gotten into the LGBT stuff that's in schools and all that stuff, which we'll be talking with Tyler about.
Right. I mean, you talk about the fringiness, and you talk about the extremism. What's being forced into so many public schools, and specifically parents finding themselves on the war end of school boards and teachers unions. They've gone to war against parents who simply have asserted saying, my child, I'm in charge, and the state doesn't like that all over the country.
Yeah, we had listener Rebecca on. She couldn't stay on, but she said that her big concern is the whole pedophilia thing, the whole puberty blockers, and all the other stuff that they're trying to do when they indoctrinate children in schools. I mean, I remember when I was in school, it was like 7th grade when we were talking about real health, like sexual things,
biology.
Yeah.
And now they're trying to make it a requirement to be from 5 to 8 years old, trying to tell them that, hey, you know what, you've got a choice here. You can be a boy or a girl.
And you see this, this is recruitment.
Yes.
It is grooming by every
reasonable,
every reasonable definition. And as a result, what we're seeing after years of this, because just now parents have caught on when they were in a position where they actually got to see up close what their kids were learning, because frankly, too many parents didn't do that before. And the number of children who now say that they are transgender or non-binary or some of these other false nonsensical words in some areas is up 700%.
Oh yeah, I think it's 500% nationally that it's up. So this is a social contagion.
It is. Oh, great. Yes.
It's not anything related to the actual individuals suffering from real dysphoria, where there's some sort of mental issue where they don't feel like they belong in the body that they have. This is something. This is trendy. It's trendy now. It makes sense. It's attention getting. It's part of the. It feeds into every little aspect of what it is to be a kid, where you're trying to fit in, you're trying to gain social acceptance, you're trying to be special, you're trying to get attention. All of these things fit perfectly, and the way the society is treating transgenders right now in with what kids want. So obviously they're going to gravitate towards it. So that's what's driving this increase.
And if you take a 5-year-old, for example, and start grooming them there right then at 5 years old to become a dog. I'm saying to act, to sound, to talk, to behave like a dog. They will get to the point to where they're barking, to where they're actually eating on their hands and knees. You know what I'm saying? They will follow what you're grooming them to be.
Which is why the public schools have become ground zero. And I am telling you right now, the teachers union is among, if not the most extreme leftist politically and culturally, the most extreme leftist activist group in this country. And I'm talking about the AFT, I'm talking about the NEA. The public school teachers are among the most fringe, extremist, dangerous political activists in this country, and they've got your kids for 7 to 8 hours a day. And then we wonder why all of this is going on, and they're saying, "Well, why aren't they listening to my Sunday school teacher?"
Right. You get like half an hour to an hour once a week, and on Sundays you get an hour or two maybe as a parent with your kid every day, but they have them for 8.
Mm-hmm.
Like who's going to be the bigger influence?
All right, we're going to talk about that with the Daily Signal's Tyler O'Neill here in about 4.5 minutes on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. 314-912-1019. That's the number to get involved in the conversation. And then right around 7:50, all right, I might get a little judgy on this here. How much of an age difference is too much of an age difference? I'm not saying I should like stop anybody from like getting married, but there was a wedding over the weekend that was kind of weird.
Yeah.
Kind of gross. But hey, if they're happy, I guess they're happy. But I might be just a little bit judgy at 7:50 right here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
For podcast articles and more, find us on NewstalkSTL.com. Follow us on Getter at NewstalkSTL. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. Made in St. Louis for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL. Decision 22 News.
Inflation, gas prices.
Decision 22 Analysis.
Things the American people want to hear about.
Decision 22 Opinion.
Same old tired talking points.
In St. Louis, Decision 2022 happens right here. News Talk STL.
From the News Talk STL newsroom, I'm Joey Vasovich. A new report by Boston Chemical Data Corps reveals that radioactive waste up to 22 times the expected level was found in a kindergarten play area at Jan Elementary in Florissant along Coldwater Creek. The Hazelwood School District issued a statement that said the board would consult with attorneys and experts to determine the next steps. Following a hazing incident that left a student blind, unable to speak, and in a wheelchair, Mizzou is now offering free courses on how to prevent hazing. The Mizzou Communications Director said the courses are not required, but students will be offered incentives for completing the training. Governor Parsons' administration is preparing to launch a new feature on the state's online payroll portal designed to boost local government transparency. The site, called the Missouri Accountability Portal, allows users to see things like state employee salaries, vendor payments, and how pandemic rescue funds are distributed. Karen's Diner will officially be open permanently on October 28th. The restaurant is opening where they experimented with a pop-up location last month on Gravois in the old Lemons building. At Karen's, customers are greeted and waited upon by rude waitresses and forced to play a variety of games. And in sports, before Saturday's Blues game, the team announced 4 more names that will be added to their Hall of Fame, which already included 10 people who have retired numbers with the team. The 4 new inductees are Red Berenson, Scotty Bowman, Glenn Hall, and Gary Unger. For in-depth coverage of these stories and more, go to NewstalkSTL.com.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Traffic Center.
Crews are on the scene of a couple of crashes eastbound on 270 at New Halls Ferry. This crash is blocking the 2 right lanes. It involves a tractor trailer. It's not jackknifed or anything, but they do have the 2 right lanes closed, and you have a delay back to about West Florissant. 270 southbound, they're ramping one up in the 2 right lanes at I-64 West, but you still have a delay back to about Olive at about 3 to 5 minutes. 55 north is busy. Carondelet up through Gasconade slow. That's about a 6-minute delay. 270 northbound, 55 up to 44 pockets. Likewise, Big Bend up to Manchester, that's still pretty busy as well. This report is sponsored by Blindster. Save big on new blinds at Blindster.com. Custom-made blinds, shades, and shutters shipped right to you at prices less than the big box retailers. Shop Blindster now and save 45% off any order just by using the code RADIO. Offer ends soon, so shop today at Blindster.com. I'm Joe Sonderman from the News Talk STL Traffic Center.
From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
It's a cool morning out there with temperatures around 40 degrees this morning under clear skies. Going to be a breezy, sunny, chilly day. Yesterday we hit 70. Today, though, a high of only 48 degrees. First alert weather day coming up on Tuesday as temperatures across the area will dip into the 20s tomorrow morning for a hard freeze. We've got a freeze warning in effect until 9 a.m. on Tuesday. The high, again, only about 47 degrees, but it does warm up through the rest of the week. I'm KMOV First Alert meteorologist Kent Harriman.
From home improvement to replacement, do-it-yourself electrical projects can be shocking. That's where Grasser Electric can help. They've been lighting up St. Louis for years. From ceiling fans and dimmer switches to repair or replacing your electric. No job is too big or too small for your home or business. Grasser Electric will even install emergency backup generators. So call Grasser Electric today before the sparks start to fly. 636-441-5200 or go to grasserelectric.com.
Hey, it's Monday. That means great pizza at a great price. All 4 Steph's Pizza locations make Monday great again with a 16-inch large pizza for just the price of a small. You heard right. It's a classic large Steph's Pizza, however you would like it, for the price of a small. All 4 locations of Steph's Pizza are making Mondays great again. And hey, look, it just happens to be Monday. Check it out at stephspizza.com.
When is a financial help show not just a financial help show? When it's Pocket Watching with JT, the caller-driven financial talk show focused on helping you get your money right. Jason Thornton is a certified financial planner licensed in both tax and investments. You get JT's real reaction to all your money and business questions. Plus, you get JT's take on all the latest financial news. This is not just another financial show. Pocket Watching with JT now every Friday night at 8 p.m. on 1019 94.1 News Talk STL.
Free speech is alive and well in America.
Sometimes it's hard to know what's real and what isn't.
Right here.
The country is heading in the wrong direction under this president. We're suffering shortages. America's running out of everything.
News Talk STL. News, analysis, opinion. Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, 99.1 HD3 and NewstalkSTL.com.
Here's how it often goes. There is a push for some sort of cultural change, and the opposition says, but this could lead to something incredibly extreme and dangerous. And then what happens is the proponent in the first place says, you fearmonger, we're not talking about that. We're just talking about a little progress here. Calm down. Stop being such a chicken little. It'll be fine. And then the cycle repeats itself until we get to a point where we say, how did we get here? In the state of Virginia, the Attorney General is Jason Mayaris, and he has actually come out and said, listen, I'm going to protect parents from any effort to criminally charge them if they stop or disagree with their child's decision to want to be the gender, the sex that they're not. Now, if that sentence didn't make any sense to you, it's because that sentence doesn't make any sense because Jason Mayaris should not be in that position to have to do that. And so we look at what's actually proposed. I'm joined now by Tyler O'Neill. He's the managing editor of the Daily Signal, which is, Tyler, one of my daily stops multiple times a day when I'm looking for content here. You guys do a great job. What is it that's actually proposed in Virginia? Then I want to talk about why the entire country should keep an eye on this kind of thing.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. It's really shocking. So Governor Youngkin decided to come out with a new policy reversing the former Democratic governor's policy that really rammed transgenderism down the throats of parents and down the throats of teachers and schools. And what Youngkin did was essentially, follow through on his campaign. He ran on a parents' rights platform saying, look, nobody has the ability to make the decisions for your kids better than parents. And, this is a very common sense, mainstream idea. And his new policy said, look, if a kid thinks they're the wrong, if they identify as a gender opposite their sex, then it's not the school's job to hide that fact from the parents and to encourage the kid to get these dangerous, puberty blocker, sex hormones, get them on a path toward, chest bonding, eventually transgender surgery, these horrible things that impact people for life. What Youngkin was just saying is, let's have the parents be in the driver's seat. Let's make it so that the school can't hide these things from the parents, and so the parents have a good hand in their kids' health decisions at school. But then, of course, this Democratic delegate, Elizabeth Guzman, just comes out and says, no. I mean, she wants to oppose this, and she's bringing back a bill, apparently that Virginia Democrats already had, which would redefine child abuse to include disagreement with with a child's stated gender identity that goes against their biological sex. I mean, this is so absurd and beyond the pale, but Democrats think that this is a winning issue. And we saw in California that they're trying to make their state a sanctuary state for transgenders and such that children can flee there and escape from their parents. And what the left is doing here is driving this wedge between kids and their parents and really encouraging things that these children, when they grow up, they're going to realize that they've done horrible things to themselves, because we don't, your brain isn't fully developed until your mid-20s, and we're telling these teens, these kids who have no idea, no concept of what it will be like to be a parent, what it would be like to actually have the ability to have children themselves later in life, what it would be like to have a normal experience in their bodies that they were born with. I mean, these are their biological bodies, and they're pursuing a course that would fundamentally deprive them of experiences that the vast majority of human history have found very fulfilling. And parents know, and parents are the first line of defense when it comes to protecting their children from the horrible things in the culture. And what the Democrats are trying to do is take parents out of the equation so that these kids are vulnerable. And the Democrats think they're helping the kids, but 10 years from now, and we're already seeing the increase in coming out and saying this has been a horrible mistake and damaged me, and hopefully we're going to start seeing medical malpractice lawsuits, because this movement has gone so far and damaged so many lives, and it seems only to be growing at this point.
Good morning, Tyler. Gabe Pfeiffer here. You mentioned that the Democrats already had this bill kind of in their pockets and they just pulled it out. How much support is there actually in the legislature in Virginia for this? Is this just like one or two kind of fringy thing, or is this a good portion of the Democrats in the legislature?
Yeah, that's a good question. From what I've been seeing, most of the Democrats are afraid to stand up against something like this. So I would hope that not all the Democrats would support it. I mean, I think it's
Oh, you're breaking up.
Shock.
There you are.
Oh, yeah. I think it's electoral suicide, quite frankly. It's a big shock when Governor Youngkin faced in 2021, last year. He ran campaigning on parental rights, and this state legislator is essentially saying, no, as Democrats, we need to be, fighting against parental rights. And it's like, well, if they do that, they're just going to keep losing. But I don't know. That's what I would think. But a lot of the voters here have gone so far left. It's almost hard to tell sometimes.
The article is called Mayaris, I'll Protect Parental Rights from Transgender Child Abuse Bill, and you can find it at the Daily Signal. And you mentioned California, obviously Virginia, Tyler. We've got, I think the bigger picture here is that in order to support some kind of argument like this, you have to assume that children belong to the government, to the state, to the school district, and not the parents, and that the parents answer to the school district or the local health board or the state government when it comes to these decisions. I mean, that to me is one of the most frightening things I've ever heard.
Yeah, and that's what Miara said, which I think is right on the money. He said families have the right to raise children, not the state. And I think one of the difficult things right now in our politics is that Republicans and Democrats are starting from almost entirely different worldviews. And the fact that Republicans are the ones who are saying, look, parents should have a role in their children's lives, as if this were controversial and as if this were, a live political debate. It's scary that we've reached this point, but I think it's a very strong message that people generally agree. Democrats continue to push this narrative. It's going to undermine because people are going to note. People know that parents care most for their children, and you can only demonize parents so much before you get a big backlash. And I think that's coming, but yeah, Democrats are so believing their own rhetoric here. They're in such an echo chamber on these LGBT issues that they think any opposition or any slight disagreement or any hesitation when it comes to not putting kids on this medical path, like these medical interventions are not the kind of thing that you can just stop and return to normal. It takes, like, especially if you undergo a surgery, you're essentially signing up for a medicalization, treatments, pills, sometimes really disgusting physical interventions.
All right, that's
for life. Like, this is, yeah.
Yeah, sorry, your phone was breaking up there just a little bit. Tyler O'Neill from the Daily Signal. Man, I really appreciate you giving us the update on this. DailySignal.com. Miaris, I'll protect parental rights from transgender child abuse bill. One of those things that we couldn't have dreamed would ever be in play 5 or 10 years ago, Tyler.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me on.
All right, once again, check it out at thedailysignal.com. Let's talk about it. 314-912-1019. Also, I'm going to get a little judgy about a wedding that happened over the weekend. I shouldn't, but I probably will.
Do it.
Just ahead. 1019-94.1 News Talk STL.
Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Traffic Center.
They're still working to clear a crash eastbound on 270 at New Halls Ferry. It's in the work zone, blocking the two right lanes, so traffic is jammed back through about West Florissant. 55 north, 9 to 10 minutes, coming up through Carondelet and Gasconade. That's your delay headed through the work zone. 64 east is picking up heavy pockets at K, at Clarkson Olive, one more time at Spady, and again as you approach McKnight. South 170 lining up at the Parkway. South 270 slow Olive down to Ladue and I-64. They're clearing a crash on the right lane there. And 270 north, 55 up to Manchester is pretty slow. Their support sponsored by Blindster. Blindster.com offers custom-made blinds, shades, and shutters shipped right to you at prices less than the big box retailers. Blindster blinds are easy to install. They're guaranteed to fit. Shop today and save big at Blindster.com. I'm Joe Sonderman from the News Talk STL Traffic Center.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
So Nancy Pelosi's filmmaker daughter just happened to be in the Capitol January 6th. We'll ask John Cooper, the good John Cooper from the Heritage Foundation, all about that Monday morning at 9:05.
Weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
Hi, this is State Representative Jim Murphy. Rising prices, crime, government overreach. These are issues on the minds of St. Louisans. As your state rep, I share your concerns. I filed legislation that reins in out-of-control bureaucrats, puts an end to gangs pilfering through our cars, and gets stolen guns off the streets. I have voted against out-of-control spending and voted for the biggest tax cut in Missouri history. I ask for your support in November as this work has just begun. Vote Jim Murphy, your state rep.
Paid for by Citizens for Murphy. Mary L. Murphy, Treasurer.
Packages start at $29.99 a month with signed agreement. Restrictions apply. Speak to a representative for complete offer details. See Vivint.com for license details. Terms and conditions apply.
Homeowners, if you're looking for the best in home security and smart home technology at a price you can actually afford, we have great news. Now you can get Vivint's award-winning home security systems starting at about $1 a day. U.S. News and World Report has recognized Vivint Vivint as the best professionally installed home security system of 2022. And right now, you can get Vivint's home security technology for about $1 a day. Plus, get free professional installation from a licensed technician. Protect your home and loved ones for as low as $1 a day. Call right now for your free home security consultation.
800-561-3405. 800-561-3405. 800-561-3405. That's 800-561-3405.
St. Louis's new choice for conservative talk.
We need change in our country right now. Live and local.
They clubbed us over the head for 2 years.
Yep. You want corruption? This is how we get corruption.
This is News Talk STL. Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019. Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, 99.1 HD3 and NewstalkSTL.com.
I mentioned a little bit earlier in the program that Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker is kind of nibbling around the edges about this whole mask thing. He's got an executive order that, among other things, recommends masking, universal masking for everybody in accordance with CDC guidelines, even though the CDC guidelines say you don't need a mask anymore. Even they dropped it. But it shows you the weird addiction that so many on the left have when it comes to all the COVID stuff. At 8:05, we're going to hear from Brian Riedel from the Manhattan Institute, who dove into the numbers and the amount of fraud and waste alone with all of this COVID spending is beyond staggering. What does it mean to you? We're going to have that conversation in 14 minutes right here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. It's 7:52 right now. I'm Mike Ferguson. Got Gabe Pfeiffer here. Got Ken Williams here. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you think. So there was a wedding that happened over the weekend. And I can't stand celebrity pop culture stuff, but there was an aspect of this that just weirded me out, guys.
Yeah.
Okay, Robert Kraft owns the New England Patriots football team.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Wasn't he the one who was like busted going to like a massage parlor in Florida or something like that?
Oh, is this
I
guy?
think that was him.
Oh, my gosh.
A few years back. I mean,
Yeah.
Okay, whatever. But he got married, tied the knot over the weekend, so I guess good for him. Oh, did I mention that Robert Kraft is 81 years old?
He's an old man.
He's 81 years old. His bride is 47. Now, here's the weird thing. This isn't like Anna Nicole Smith marrying the 90-some-year-old oil billionaire.
Well, at least it's not that obvious.
No, because Robert Kraft is a billionaire, but his wife now is a millionaire because she's apparently one of the top ophthalmology surgeons in the country.
Mm-hmm.
So she doesn't need him. She's got a net worth of like $7 million on her own now in New York or New England. That may not be as much as it would be here. But I just saw the picture, 81-year-old dude, 47-year-old wife, and I'm trying to do the math. I'm thinking, I'm a dad of a daughter.
Yeah. I'm not giving you away at this one.
No, my daughter. What's the math on that?
36 years.
36 years. And if my
wait a minute.
What's the math on that?
46.
46.
No. Gosh. See, I can't.
Come on, rocket scientist.
I have it. My wife makes fun of me with this all the time too because my brain isn't geared towards normal math anymore. Like I usually
34 years.
Yeah, 34 years. There you go.
So you've got. I can imagine my daughter who is 23 right now.
Mm-hmm.
She's about to be 24.
Mm-hmm.
So if she comes to me and she's 24 and says, "I've met the man of my dreams. I think you're going to like him, but he's 58."
Yeah.
That's gross.
Yeah, I'm not with that.
Okay, so I'm not saying that somebody should stop them. They're adults. They can do what they want to do.
Sure.
But at what point is it just gross? What point is it just creepy?
There is a level. I mean, I have a gap. I have a gap too with my wife.
Yeah.
But it's not it's there is a level. There's and I can't put my finger on it, but there's a level.
I mean, I think like you married a gal who's younger than you, right, Ken?
Yeah, 12 years.
12 years. Okay, Rachel is 6 years younger than me. You've got a different age gap.
Yeah, she's older.
Yeah, not much. She still, looks much younger and better than you.
Yes,
obviously. But of course, Rachel likes to tease me. I'll talk about something about when I was in high school, and I'll say, "Oh yeah, I remember that was like my junior year in high school." And she go, "Yeah, I was in grade school." I'm like, "Okay, now it sounds gross."
Right.
Not that I'm 50 and she's 44.
Now, of course, age differences change when you get, the older you get, right? Like once you're kind of past a certain level, then the age difference isn't that big of a deal. Obviously, grade school to high school is a big deal.
Very big deal.
That kind of thing.
But 34 years.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's too much.
Yeah.
That's too much.
She's an attractive woman.
Oh, well, obviously.
Yeah. She's very attractive. She's very successful. I mean, is it that hard to find a dude?
I think it's just a couple. It depends on what they have to share together. I mean, if he's got something she wants emotionally and romantically, and she has something he wants, then
let's
not
discount hypergamy either. Like I might be opening up a can of worms here, but hypergamy is a thing. It's like ladies, they marry across and up economically. That's what they do. Generally speaking, there are obvious exceptions. So I don't know. I mean, see, if you're a millionaire, you marry up to the billionaire.
Yeah, that'd definitely be marrying up. I mean, I don't know.
I don't know either.
You have Jack Lemmon. I think it was Jack Lemmon. He was 76 years old and had kids.
Well, Mick Jagger.
That's the wild one aspect of it to me. The kids, adding the kids onto it. It's like you can't chase a 3-year-old around. You're both in need of diaper changes. That's not.
Well, I mean, for instance, Kenny Rogers was that way. Mick Jagger, he married a 20-something-year-old ballerina. And I get why the guy's doing it.
Well, sure.
But let's be honest: is the fit, attractive ballerina? If Mick Jagger's not Mick Jagger, he's just a guy who's retired from whatever line of work you want to fill in the blank.
Right.
Is she giving him the time of day when he says, "Let's go get something to eat"?
No, I got you.
No,
I got you there, but he's still Mick Jagger. I mean,
I know.
He has something that she wants.
That's the hypergamy aspect.
Right. I'm just speaking in terms of reality.
If he was a retired plumber, he's not getting the same action.
No, he's not.
No.
I'm saying if my daughter brings a billionaire home who's 34 years older, you're still not. No.
Oh no. From the guy's perspective, that's gross.
Not a chance. All right, just ahead here, we've got COVID spending, which we knew was bad economic policy. It's responsible for so much of the inflation that we've got right now. How much of it was outright fraud and waste? Manhattan Institute's Brian Riedel's got some of the numbers, and it's really disturbing.
Hey folks, Tim Jones here for Hanson's Tree Service. As my daughters would say, it's fall, y'all. That means it's the perfect time to call Hanson's. Prime time for Hanson's to come out and do all that fall trimming before winter storms can bring down trees and limbs on the homestead. Get on the Hanson schedule for winter dormant oil applications to protect your trees from insects taking shelter over the winter, and a perfect time for Hanson's to put you on a preventative plant health care program. Everything you need for winter can be found at Hanson's. Hanson'sTree.com.
Hey folks, here's great news for active aging seniors. The Kanega Watch, the only medical alert smartwatch with built-in fall detection. Yeah, the Kanega Watch is much different than the other guys. It's a stylish, discreet watch you can wear all the time. Get help through the watch in one of 3 ways. Your voice, pushing the watch's alert button, or have the fall detection connect you to a U.S.-based 24/7 monitoring center who'll speak to you through your watch and can send help to your GPS location nationwide. And get this, it can do that even if you're not responsive. This is true 24/7 peace of mind for you and those that love you. Order your Kanega Watch with a full refund 30-day trial period. Call now, 800-413-7152. 800-413-7152. 800-413-7152. That's 800-413-7152.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Senator Jim Talent.
We live in an age where saying common sense things is considered to be controversial or even revolutionary. Like, we need oil and gas. Yeah, I think we do. Or maybe we shouldn't shut down the schools. Maybe it's not a really great idea when troubled teenagers come in and just to rush to pump them full of drugs.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 3:30
on News Talk STL.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green.
This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at
NewstalkSTL.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Greg Clugston in Washington. More explosions in Ukraine's capital today. A week after Russia launched deadly missile strikes, Kyiv today was hit by waves of explosive-laden suicide drones. The attack set buildings ablaze and sent people running for shelters. Ukrainian officials say Iranian-made drones were used in the attack. Georgia's Republican Senate candidate Herschel Walker is backing away from his initial support for an outright national ban on abortion. In a debate with Democratic opponent Senator Raphael Warnock, Walker did say he supports Georgia's fetal heartbeat ban on abortions after approximately 6 weeks.
Now, on abortion, I'm a Christian. I believe in life. And I tell people this, Georgia is a state that respects life, and I'll be a senator that protects life.
Audio courtesy of News Nation. Walker continues to deny accusations by a former girlfriend of encouraging and paying for her 2009 abortion. The death toll from floods in Nigeria this year has increased to more than 600 as local authorities race to get relief items to hundreds of thousands being evacuated from their submerged homes. More than 1.3 million people have been displaced by the disaster. 3 weeks before the midterm elections, a new poll shows 71% of voters think the future of the country is at stake. That's according to a new poll from the AP Nork Center for Public Affairs Research. The findings suggest that voters are motivated to turn out despite deep pessimism about the state of U.S. politics. Residents in Raleigh, North Carolina hosted a vigil over the weekend to remember the 5 people killed by a 15-year-old boy in last week's shooting. More on these stories at townhall.com.
My brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. That's why I told my husband we could not put off getting life insurance any longer. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $50 a month. Then we called SelectQuote. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $19 a month, a savings of $369 a year.
Whether you need a $500,000 policy or a $5 million policy, SelectQuote could save you more than 50% on term life insurance. For your free quote, call SelectQuote at 1-800-940-6161. That's 1-800-940-6161. Or go to SelectQuote.com. That's 1-800-940-6161. SelectQuote. We shop, you save. Full details on example policies at SelectQuote.com/commercials.
The Gates Foundation wants to end.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Traffic Center.
Eastbound on 270, they're clearing a crash at New Halls Ferry. It does involve a tractor trailer, but the 2 right lanes were closed and it's in the work zone, so traffic will be backed up near Washington Elizabeth. 55 northbound at Bayless, we've got a crash. Looks like it's blocking 2 lanes. That traffic was already jammed most of the way back to Weber anyway. South 270 is just busy at Olive where we had an earlier crash. The northbound side is slow approaching Gravois most of the way up through Manchester. 64 eastbound's very heavy approaching Clarkson. Again, approaching Ballas, Spady, McKnight, you've got pockets. This report sponsored by Walgreens, and I'm Joe Sonderman from the News Talk STL Traffic Center.
Finding the right Medicare plan was no easy feat until I found Walgreens Find Rx coverage. Compare plans online, over the phone, or in person, and find plans with low-cost copays. When you need to talk Medicare, Walgreens is here. Start shopping today at walgreens.com/Medicare.
From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
It's a cool morning out there with temperatures around 40 degrees this morning under clear skies. Going to be a breezy, sunny, chilly day. Yesterday we hit 70. Today, though, a high of only 48 degrees. First alert weather day coming up on Tuesday as temperatures across the area will dip into the 20s tomorrow morning for a hard freeze. We've got a freeze warning in effect until 9 a.m. on Tuesday. The high again, only about 47 degrees, but it does warm up through the rest of the week. I'm KMOV First Alert meteorologist Kent Harrell.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by All Solutions Pest Control, 636-486-7888, or visit them at allsolutionspestcontrol.com.
If a pest-free home is your goal, call All Solutions Pest Control.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Money Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on St. Louis radio for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. Doug and Safe Money Radio is on 3 times every weekend, but in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com or call 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233. Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP. Member FINRA and SIPC.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness 101. Wellness 101 is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense, science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on News Talk STL. For more information, visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
This is News Talk STL.
News, analysis, and opinion from the voices you know and trust.
News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and newstalkstl.com. Mike Ferguson.
This is the kind of adventure I usually have to force upon us, and here it is, falling into our laps.
Gabe Pfeiffer.
They're buying it.
Get up! Get up! Can't you hear the alarm?
Get up, St. Louis.
Watch your proper squat, son.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Get up! Get up! This is your cousin Rob.
Over the past week, there's been a lot of debate and controversy on anything related to COVID. There was an executive with Pfizer testifying that the purpose of the vaccines may not have been what we were told. And that's a whole other ball of wax. But we're also hearing about the COVID spending, and some members of Congress say we need to keep doing that. But what they spent in the first place generally hasn't gone to anything related to COVID relief. It's such a mess. I'm Mike Ferguson. I am joined now by Brian Riedel. He is a senior fellow with the Manhattan Institute. And Brian, you were crunching some numbers. And I'm sorry to say this to you, but you crunched the numbers. You wrote the article called Pandemic Fraud and Waste Are a National Scandal. All I wanted to do was crunch my head in a doorway as I was reading your article. We always know there's going to be some waste in government spending. And, you know, to be fair, there's probably a little bit of waste. There's probably some waste that goes in private corporate spending. But the level of waste and fraud in this spending that we were told is so urgent. It's got to happen right now to save the economy, to save people's livelihoods. This is just staggering. Give me a sample of what you were discovering.
Yeah, I mean, well, in terms of the sheer enormity of it, you know, a former U.S. attorney who researched and dove into the oversight called it, quote, the biggest fraud in a generation. I mean, some of the examples, a Florida man used $7.2 million as an emergency loan to purchase a 13,000 square foot mansion and several cars. A California couple just applied for and received $18 million that they used to buy 3 houses, diamonds, gold coins, luxury watches, expensive furniture, and other valuables. And in terms of some of the really big ones, one man forged enough applications to collect $27 million in PPP funds. And a group of people in Minnesota formed a fictional organization to feed kids, to feed like school lunches and child nutrition to kids, and collected $250 million in grants. $250 million for one group of people, all fraudulent. The organization didn't exist. There's so many examples of this. It's infuriating.
And do we have any confidence in thinking that all or most of these fraudulent actors have been caught, or are we just hoping we've got them? I mean, you're talking about these great, big, egregious ones. Well, that tells me some of the smarter crooks probably got away with it.
Absolutely. So at this point, the federal government has prosecuted 1,500 actors for pandemic fraud, but they say that there's a couple million cases of suspected fraud that they haven't gotten to and may never get to. So you're looking at 1,500 out of millions. And even if they identify it, it's another step to prosecute them, take them to court, win the case, and then most difficult, actually collect the money back. They're not going to get more than a small percentage of this money back ever for the federal taxpayers. And the vast majority of people who stole millions are going to get away with it.
Now, government programs aren't known for being the most efficient in the world, but how does this happen on such a wide scale that this much money is just stolen? And this is money that the rest of us still have to pay back someday.
Yeah, what happened was the federal government was in such a hurry to get the money out during the pandemic, to get the money to individuals and get the money to businesses, that they didn't create any real system to make sure that the money would go to people who actually need it. They pretty much put people on their honor to verify that you're qualified to receive millions of dollars. If you can certify that you're qualified, the Small Business Administration will give you the money. Now, they will tell you we were in too much of a hurry to create a system to prevent fraud. But that leads to the question of, well, what were you doing before the pandemic when a lot of these systems had been originally planned and created? And the amount of money spent on oversight for the pandemic programs comes to only $1 on oversight for every $12,000 spent on benefits. So they never even created an oversight system to begin with to plan ahead of time. A lot of these federal agencies and state agencies are working on computers with 1970s technology, understaffed, untrained, bad technology, and a Congress that simply was not going to allocate money to actually running these programs well.
We're visiting with Brian Riedel from the Manhattan Institute, but at least the money they sent out was supposed to go to something related to COVID relief, right? I mean, it was all supposed to go out for something directly related to those affected by COVID, right?
Correct. Most of this was economic aid. This was unemployment benefits, PPP loans for businesses, economic injury disaster loans for businesses, which are also similar. A lot of it was supposed to be to replenish your wages from your job or to give you unemployment benefits. But people created fake businesses and fake jobs, and then the government just gave the money to them on their honor. The state of California, just one state, paid out $20 billion in unemployment benefits to non-eligible criminals, including $810 million in unemployment benefits to inmates in prison. So there was not even any attempt to make sure that these people were legitimately unemployed, or that these businesses where we were replenishing the wages were even legitimate businesses.
Wow. The article is called Pandemic Fraud and Waste Are a National Scandal. Even if we could try to add this up, do we have a ballpark figure of what was stolen or spent fraudulently or inappropriately? And then I want to get into the what does it mean to the rest of us question.
Sure. Just within 3 programs, the unemployment benefits, the PPP loans, and the economic injury disaster loans, the current estimates are $320 billion in fraud and overpayments. 320 billion with a B. To put that in context, if $320 billion were a government program itself, it would be the 4th or 5th biggest program in the entire federal government. It's more than we spend on hundreds of programs combined. It is an enormous sum. In fact, it would be enough to give each family $2,400. It would be enough to eliminate the employee half of the payroll tax for 6 months. That's the current estimate. And that's just fraud. That's not even counting money that was just simply wasted by Congress on programs that people didn't need in the first place. This is just direct fraud. It's $320 billion.
Okay, this is a big question for 90 seconds or so that we've got left here, Brian, is, we hear these big, huge numbers, we get overwhelmed by it, or we hear about these egregious fraud things, and sometimes we even laugh because only government would let something like that happen. But this does affect each and every one of us, though, doesn't it?
Absolutely. This money, a lot of it was printed. And so a lot of it didn't come out of taxes. It was printed by the printing press, essentially by the Federal Reserve. That means this $320 billion contributed to inflation with no real benefit to the American people. It's also got put on the national credit card. And if you take all of the about $1 trillion in unnecessary pandemic spending that we had, that was, given out for uses that we didn't need, the interest on that is going to cost about $30 to $40 billion every year forever. So for the rest of your tax-paying lives, the American people are going to pay $30 to $40 billion in interest payments through the federal budget just for the debt that went to these unnecessary payments. So there is no free lunch. We're going to be paying for this. And finally, that's money that could have gone for something beneficial. That could have gone to infrastructure. It could have gone to veterans' health care. So there's a lot of losses that the American people have to account for. Inflation, the interest costs, and all the things we could have bought with this money.
Unbelievable. Brian, where do we learn more about what you do at the Manhattan Institute?
Sure. Just if you Google Brian Riedel, RIEDL, Manhattan Institute, you can see my research. I'm also on Twitter at Brian_Riedel, RIEDL.
Hey, Brian, appreciate you bringing us the update. And don't take this the wrong way, but I hated reading your article.
I hated writing it.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you.
My goodness, these numbers are absolutely staggering. Got some thoughts on that? 314-912-1019. I mean, and that's in addition to the stuff where the money ended up where it was supposed to go, but it was still wasteful. And you're not going to believe this. From the first couple of spending sprees, there's still money left over. Governments can't even spend it fast enough. They can't even figure out how to get that out the door. So, of course, waste and fraud are going to happen. And like Brian said, they are never going to catch anywhere near all of the perpetrators who stole the money that we're all going to have to pay back and our kids are going to have to pay back. So you want a tax cut with a federal tax rate? I think we can probably forget that for a long time. That's what happens when government wastes money and we keep electing these people to office. Anyway, 314-912-1019. This is 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. Made in St. Louis for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Traffic Center.
Still pretty busy. 270 eastbound at New Halls Ferry. Crash blocking the two right lanes right in the work zone, so you're jammed back to Washington Elizabeth. 55 northbound at Bayless, right where the work zone starts. We've got one blocking the two left lanes. Look for heavy traffic there. And then pockets running up towards Gasconade. 64 eastbound is slowdowns from Ballas to Clayton Warson. McKnight into Big Bend looks pretty slow. 64 westbound Hampton to Big Bend is slow. There's a brief delay at Route K on 64 westbound. That is road work in the right lane. 270 north, it's mainly 44 up through Manchester at about 4 minutes to your commute time. This report sponsored by Blindster. Save big on new blinds at Blindster.com. Custom-made blinds, shades, and shutters shipped right to you and at prices less than the big box retailers. Shop Blindster now and save 45% off any order just by using the code RADIO. Shop today at Blindster.com. I'm Joe Sonderman from the News Talk STL Traffic Center.
Columbo here for Agers Heating and Air Conditioning. We trust Agers with our home because their number one priority is doing right by the customer. Temperatures are changing outside, and as we transition from warmer temps to cooler ones, if you have any issues keeping your family comfortable, don't wait. Call the great team at Agers so they can address the issue before it gets worse. Because whether it's repairs or replacement, Agers is there with the clarity and attention to detail your home deserves. Contact Agers now at 636-242-6515 or through their website, callagers.com.
Are you downright disgusted with the corruption of our Democratic leadership at St. Louis City Hall that's been reported in the news?
Hi, this is Mary Teresa McLean, Chair of the Republican Party City of St. Louis. If you want to put our city that we all love back on track, you must get involved. If you're ready to be part of the solution, we invite you. Come and meet us. Learn more at stlouisrepublicans.com.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican PAC. Curtis Farber, Treasurer.
Columbo
Columbo and Katie.
Their job at this incredibly upscale fancy restaurant in London is to go around to the tables and hand feed grapes to the customers.
I don't even want to be like disturbed by a waiter that's filling up my glass every 5 seconds or asking me how I'm doing every 5
Correct.
seconds.
Mhm.
I couldn't imagine someone coming over to me and being like, and a grape for you, my dear.
Tony Columbo, Katie Fitzpatrick. Weekdays at 2
on Newstalk STL.
Fox News commentary.
Nancy Pelosi threatened to punch out our former president, proving once again the left is fine with political violence so long as they're inflicting it. I'm Tommy Lahren. More next.
Businesses don't run on automation or algorithms alone. What powers businesses are your people and the people they serve. At Cintas, your dedicated service reps understand what you need to help you keep your employees feeling safe, comfortable, and performing their best. So your business can too. For workwear, essential cleaning products, first aid and safety supplies, and fire protection services, visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
In a previously unseen video that aired on CNN late last week, Speaker Pelosi can be heard threatening to punch Donald Trump out if he approached the Capitol on January 6th. But that's not all. She also said she's been waiting for this and that she'd punch him, go to jail, and be happy about it. Boy, for all the grief Donald Trump got for not being presidential, I'm going to go ahead and say relishing the thought of punching out a sitting president isn't very congressional, Nancy. But are the Democrats at all condemning her threat of violence? No, of course not. They're applauding it as valiant and brave. They whine and cry January 6th to their blue in the face, but somehow when it comes to the countless examples of violence against conservatives, they're dead silent or cheering it. So next time a Democrat wants to yammer on about the horror of January 6th, remind them how little they actually care about public and political decency. I'm Tommy Lahren.
What happens next?
Democrats' reckless policies have stuck the American people with an inflation crisis, a border crisis, a violent crime crisis, and an energy crisis.
Happens right here.
We're going to get control of inflation.
1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, 99.1 HD3 and newstalkstl.com.
You remember the cases of the cake baker that went all the way to the Supreme Court, right, out of Colorado?
Yeah.
And the courts finally said, yeah, you can bake a cake forever you want or not. Well, the leftists in that same state's government aren't getting the lesson, and they're harassing another business owner who says, I'm not interested in making money off that.
Yeah, I think
insane.
I think they know. They know that it's an end game. The end game for them is just harassment. Mm-hmm. For harassment's sake.
And to compel people because they don't believe in individual freedom of thought or freedom of association. So 8:35, I'll give you the update on why won't some of these extremists just simply take their lesson that if you want people to live a left-wing lifestyle, you've got to convince them, but they'd rather use government force. Yeah. This is just gross. All right, it's coming up on 8:23 right now. I'm Mike Ferguson. Got Ken Williams here with us as well. FEMA is offering some assistance to renters. Now, here's the deal. If you were affected by the July flash flooding and you are a renter and now you've had to leave because of that flash flooding and you live in St. Louis City, or you did live in St. Louis City, St. Louis County, St. Charles County, you might be eligible for some disaster assistance. So starting in about 7 minutes, you can actually start applying for that, or at least talking to the folks at FEMA. They've actually set up a phone line just for St. Louis area renters who are affected by this. It's 816-283-7920. I'll say it one more time, 816-283-7920, and that phone line opens up at 8:30, so here in just a little over 5 minutes. You can also go online to disasterassistance.gov. But there are 3 disaster centers in the St. Louis area which are open, and they opened up about 20 minutes ago. One is at Rankin Technical College. That is on Newstead Avenue in St. Louis. That's near Newstead and Page, basically. The Urban League Empowerment Center on Florissant Avenue in Ferguson, and the U-City Recreation Division on Olive Boulevard in U-City, obviously. Those are all open right now, and they're coordinating some of those resources. You've got until November 7th to apply if you want to get in on some of those.
That's some good information for them, Mike. I always, whenever I hear this, I always want to tell people too is, when my wife and I, when we first were together for the first 10 years, we rented and we used renter's insurance. It's so important to get that.
Yeah.
And what it did is it actually, when it came time for us to buy a home, we had a leg up on other people because we already had all the insurance infrastructure in place. You know? So.
Yeah, and a lot of places won't rent to you unless you have it now, whereas before it was just a good idea.
Yeah.
Like when I was renting for a long time. But here's the thing is that renter's insurance often does not cover flooding damage. Yeah.
Wow.
It's like the one thing that's excluded from almost all of those policies. Tornado hits you, you're covered. Fire, covered. Flooding, not so much. And so you've got to really dig in to make sure that you're covered, and if not, how to do something like that. Because, you and Caddy, your insurance probably did cover flooding back then, maybe, but maybe not now. And so it's a
no,
whole
I know
different
it
thing.
did then, but that's interesting because the same way with my dad used to buy earthquake insurance for like nothing.
Yeah.
It was like $6 a year. Now you can't get it hardly.
No. Because and remember back in, I want to say it was 1990, there was the St. Louis, New Madrid fault was going to kill us all.
Right.
I think that was around 1990.
Yeah, somewhere around there, yeah.
And people went and bought earthquake insurance like crazy because this rumor went all around that there was going to be, I think it was like December 3rd, there was going to be a massive earthquake that was going to hit all of us. And so everybody bought earthquake insurance. So insurance agents were like, sure, I'll take the free policies. And people canceled them like a month later.
Yeah, the Mississippi was going to flow the opposite direction again.
Oh, goodness. Hey, panics aren't just for the internet era. We did them before then.
Yeah.
Freeze warning in the weather forecast for this week, starting late tonight into tomorrow morning. You're going to hear that update on our KMOV weather forecast throughout the morning. Heat Up St. Louis, the nonprofit, already reaching out to low-income St. Louisans to tell them about their nonprofit assistance program. And what's happening is there was some cleanup efforts through parts of St. Louis. Gentry Trotter, among others, with Heat Up St. Louis, they were out knocking on doors saying, hey, cold weather's coming. How are you doing as far as being able to keep your home warm? And he says it's in part to try to prevent people from trying to keep their homes warm with unsafe things, but two, to let them know about these resources to help them keep up with their bills. And once again, this is a nonprofit organization. And Gentry Trotter was speaking with Dion Braxton from KMOV to explain what they're trying to do.
And they just got off a real high bill for the summer due to the weather. Usually in the wintertime, there's the flu. Now it's the pandemic. Now it's inflation, and people can't cope.
Heat Up St. Louis will help residents pay heating bills. Trotter says they're spreading the word earlier than usual.
The impact is outrageous. We're 50% up versus last year this year.
Okay, so whether you think you know somebody who needs that possible assistance or you want to help and make a donation, it's heatupstlouis.org is where you're going to find that information. All right. Also, speaking of some assistance, I know this is really, really controversial. We've had the debates here. The student loan forgiveness website by the federal government is now up and running. Now, at least it's like the first draft of it. But if you go to it, you can actually make your application to have $10,000 or $20,000 knocked off your student loan forgiveness. Terrible economic policy, but we talked about it before, so I'm going to let you know where to find it. Just go to studentaid.gov/debt relief/application, and you can, just a very simple form, you can apply. Economically, is this a good program? Nope. But if you want to apply for it because the Biden administration seems to be hell-bent on doing this, well, that's where you can at least learn more about it. Some scary results recently from some studying of radioactive material. Dangerous radioactivity is reported in a St. Louis area school. Fox News' Richard Jordan has more. This is really bad stuff.
A new report confirms significant radioactive contamination at an elementary school in suburban St. Louis. Nuclear weapons were produced nearby during World War II. The St. Louis Post-Dispatch reports environmental consultants at Boston Chemical Data Corporation tested dust from Jana Elementary's library, kitchen, classrooms, fields, and playgrounds, detecting excessive levels of radioactive lead, radium, and other toxins. Inhaling or ingesting these materials can cause injury. The school district said in a statement the safety of staff and students is its top priority. A school board meeting is planned for Tuesday. Richard Jordan, Fox News.
I don't know how long Jana Elementary School has been there, but World War II was in the 40s.
Yeah, it's been a while. They should have been onto this for a long time ago. It's things like this, like asbestos, they usually have to either completely mitigate it or get rid of the whole building all at once.
Yeah, because that school board meeting tomorrow night, that's going to be a very, very busy one because these results are pretty frightening, and you've got generations who have been through that school. So where do you go from here? I mean, do you keep sending your kid there when they just found out that, yep, that radiation is still there? I mean, this isn't something new. I think people have known or suspected it for a long time, but we got the confirmation now.
Yeah, I hate to bring it up, though, but, there could be some litigation problems, too.
Without a doubt. All right, 314-912-1019, just ahead. What is it about personal freedom, particularly religious beliefs, that has the leftist extremists just up in arms that they do not want to allow people to decide their own life and their own business? You'll hear from a woman who's being raked over the coals by the same people who tried to rake the cake baker over the coals. We'll get to that about 8:35 here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. For podcast articles and more, find us on NewstalkSTL.com. You're listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning. Made in St. Louis for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL.
No big old corporate lib AM station telling us what to say here.
Conservative talk for St. Louis. This is News Talk STL at 101.9, 94.1,
And always streaming at NewstalkSTL.com.
From the News Talk STL newsroom, I'm Joey Vasovich. Summit Processors, a scrap metal business in East Alton, Illinois, was the target of a police sting operation, which resulted in the seizure of all 287 of the catalytic converters on site. Summit Processors routinely bought converters but failed to have sellers fill out paperwork and show photo ID as required by state law. Police discovered more than 20 stolen motorcycles, drugs, and a sawed-off shotgun during an early morning raid of a suspected chop shop in Dogtown last week. The city's building inspector also condemned the home. Tashara Jones and Sam Page signed off on a plan to transfer the Rams settlement money to investments with a higher return, a move the owner of the Dome has advocated since June. The Regional Convention and Sports Complex Authority members have said that the region was missing out on as much as $28,000 a day by keeping the money in a low-yield trust account. The city of Brentwood is installing 5 license plate cameras throughout the city. 2 more cameras have permits processing. They are expected to be installed by the end of the month. And in sports, the Blues beat the Blue Jackets during Saturday's season opener at Enterprise. Ivan Barbashev and Jake Neighbors scored 20 seconds apart in the third period. Jordan Bennington made 23 saves, and Vladimir Tarasenko scored twice. Next up, the Blues head to Seattle to face the Kraken on Wednesday. Puck drop is at 9 p.m. For in-depth coverage of these stories and more, go to NewstalkSTL.com.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Traffic Center.
Things are improving somewhat. They cleared the crash eastbound 270 at New Halls Ferry that was in the work zone and really causing delays earlier. It was backed up to New Florissant. Give it a few more minutes. 55 northbound at Bayless, they're working to clear one. It was in the 2 left lanes right where the work zone starts, so there's still some heavy traffic behind that, and since that's congested, it's not as bad once you clear that into the work zone. Eastbound 64, slow traffic balancing through Clayton Warson. Looks like we have an incident on the right shoulder there. Otherwise, we've got normal volume headed for the Poplar Street Bridge. It's not too bad westbound so far this morning. This report sponsored by Blindster. Save big on new blinds at Blindster.com. Custom-made blinds, shades, and shutters shipped directly to you at prices less than the big box retailers. Shop Blindster now and save 45% off any order just by using the code RADIO. Offer ends soon, so shop today at Blindster.com. I'm Joe Sonderman from the News Talk STL Traffic Center.
From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
It's a cool morning out there with temperatures around 40 degrees this morning under clear skies. Going to be a breezy, sunny, chilly day. Yesterday we hit 70. Today, though, a high of only 48 degrees. First alert weather day coming up on Tuesday as temperatures across the area will dip into the 20s tomorrow morning for a hard freeze. We've got a freeze warning in effect until 9 a.m. on Tuesday. The high again only about 47 degrees, but it does warm up through the rest of the week. I'm KMOV First Alert meteorologist Kent Earhart.
If you're concerned about the current market and the 40-year record high inflation that we're seeing, you're not alone.
Credit card usage skyrocketing and at record highs, savings rates plunging. It's 100% certainty that you're in recession now.
The good news is, for decades, Steve All and his team have been helping people just like you protect and grow your income. And most importantly, not run out of money.
My clients that are currently sitting there on guaranteed incomes, they're not really worried about what's happening in the market. So they're more at peace because every month that paycheck comes in.
Call Steve today for your customized market protection plan. 636-230-8824. That's 636-230-8824. Or visit yourmoneymattersstl.com. Investment advisory services offered through Retirement Wealth Advisors, LLC. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance products, including annuities. Licensed in Missouri and Illinois.
Open enrollment is coming for anyone covered by Affordable Care Act. Open enrollment starts on November 1st and stays open through January 15th each year. Available insurance options change, and it is only during this open enrollment period that you can make modifications to your enrollment. This process can be confusing, overwhelming, and very time-consuming. MB Health is local and here in person to complete this process for you quickly, properly, and effectively. You can reach Mike Butts and his expert team at MB Health, 314-544-5400, or visit mbhealth.com to schedule an appointment. MB Health can also help small businesses find the perfect medical coverage for their employees.
St. Louis's new choice for conservative talk.
I think they're trying to attack the American people.
Live and local.
Gabe, Mike, Ken, you guys are my morning cup of mental coffee. I love the show. Definitely a convert from the old one.
This is News Talk STL. Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019. You're listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning. Made in St. Louis for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL.
A little bit earlier, this has been kind of a theme of the day, is just the fringe, the extremism of the left as we head into this election time. And it goes to a very basic premise. And I'd love to get your thoughts on this at 314-912-1019. And that premise is, who gets to decide how you live your life? You've got a right to live, okay? So how do you live your life? We talked to Tyler O'Neill from the Daily Signal a little bit earlier. Excuse me. Grab a little cup of my coffee here. And he was talking about a bill that was proposed in the Virginia House of Delegates, which is their state legislature, that would charge parents with a crime if they said no to their child who says, I want to be a boy or I want to be a girl, if they're not, in fact, a boy or a girl. Actually charge them with a crime with child abuse by changing the definition of child abuse to a parent who says no to a child, who says, I want to be whatever. Well, it goes back to the basic disagreement. Do children belong to families or do they belong to the state? In California, there was a bill that was pushed that says if a runaway minor gets across the state lines into California, that they'll take over and become the guardian. Literally, that they'll become the pseudo parent so that child can get hormones or surgeries or whatever. And it comes down to the argument that the state owns us. That's really what's at stake in a lot of these school district races, the school board issues. When parents say, whoa, 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 no, you're not pushing that on my child. And the school district says, we're the experts, you're not. You're going to be in trouble with us if you keep acting up like this. That's assuming that the school district, which is a branch of government, owns the children and the parents answer to that. That's one of the biggest foundational differences between what conservatives should be and what liberals are.
This left-wing government that they're trying to impose on this country is playing with fire, because I guarantee you, parents that are told that they cannot make a choice for their own child, minor child. That's just, well, let's see. I can imagine going back to when my kids were that age, and I guarantee you I'd either be in jail or I would be in another school, or both.
Yeah.
Because that's not going to happen ever.
My mom came out of retirement to work, and I worked multiple jobs to keep my kids in a Christian school. And it was worth every penny. Now, this was even before all of this nonsense, but we're finding out that this has been going on longer. But let's go even deeper in that in some states, now where we've talked about California, we talked about Virginia, we're going to talk about Colorado now. They became infamous for lawsuits by their Human Rights Commission going after the guy who says, I bake cakes, but I'm not going to do it for gay weddings or whatever. Just my thing. I'm not going to do it. Just go ahead and buy for somebody else. Good luck to you. Well, he ended up winning in court on religious freedom grounds. The same Human Rights Commission is going after now a woman named Lori Smith, and she is a wedding planner or I'm sorry, a website designer for weddings. So that's what she does, is she designs websites for weddings. And she says, I'm a Christian. I'm not on board the same-sex marriage thing. I don't need to take every business that comes my way. And then there was a gay wedding and she said no to. And so now she's being accused of a human rights violation because she will not lend her creativity and artistic merit to something she disagrees with based on her religious beliefs. So she was on Fox and Friends first earlier this morning, and she kind of explains what she thinks at stake here.
What I'm asking the court to step in and weigh on is whether or not we can live and work freely in alignment with our beliefs, whether they're the same as mine or perhaps different, but to do so without the government unfairly punishing some of us.
Her case is in front of the U.S. Supreme Court as well, and she's charged with violating Colorado's anti-discrimination law.
I'm a designer and I want to design for weddings, but Colorado is censoring my speech. So I'm grateful that the United States Supreme Court is going to hear my case and hopefully weigh in to protect the right to speak freely for all Americans.
State of Colorado says they can fine somebody $500 for each offense if they declare it a human rights violation or a violation of the Anti-Discrimination Act. Supporters say, well, it prevents discrimination by businesses.
So if a company, say, I don't know, discriminates against conservative speech in their business, is that still does that fall under the same discrimination rule that they have in Colorado?
Well, I mean, by the letter of the law, probably, but are they going to enforce it? Of course not.
Well, because we talk about that all the time here. Does it suck? Yeah, it sucks that you're being discriminated against on social media, for example, for your opinions, calling it disinformation. But it's their private company. They can make the decision anytime they want. And we stood behind that. We've discussed it, and we've said, okay, fairly, as bad as much as we disagree with it, it's still their private company. And this, I feel the same way about this woman. She decides, I don't really want to go with that, then she shouldn't have to.
Because the market responded in social media. YouTube decided to be censorious against conservatives. Rumble was created. Twitter decided to become censorious. Facebook decided to become censorious. Getter popped up.
And Elon Musk, actually.
Yeah. Elon Musk responded in the market. Parler made an attempt, but Getter is there. Donald Trump set up Truth Social.
Yeah.
So the market responded in those. Now, government does not have a right to outsource their censorship onto private companies. That's a whole different thing. But if Twitter just says, we're so liberal, we don't want conservatives on our platform, well, I mean, it's their platform. I can go to Getter. If you're on Getter, at Mike on the Radio, that's where you're going to find me. With this right here, her website design, you're telling me you can't find another website designer in Colorado?
A dime a dozen.
Yeah, they're
at
everywhere.
Least. Yeah.
This is going after and targeting somebody who had the audacity to disagree with the leftist narrative. You don't have the right to the fruit of somebody else's labor.
No. And these fake justice warriors that they have there, it's the ends justify the means to them.
Mm-hmm.
They don't care if it's illegal, what they're doing. They don't care if it's right or wrong, as long as the ends justify the means.
This is a case of compelled speech. Now I'm going to tie everything back in together. We're talking about compelled speech. You go into a public school district, and if there happens to be a conservative Christian left in the public school system, and they're told, no, you will call that girl he and call him Jimmy if that's what she wants. And that teacher says, well, that violates my religious beliefs. I don't believe that. I'm going to stick with the truth. No, you're going to be fired. No, you're going to be suspended. No, you're going to be disciplined. That's compelled speech. That's not free speech, and that's violating that teacher's rights.
Yeah, absolutely.
In this case right here, a government coming in and saying, no, you will use your creative talent to do this even though you don't want to and you disagree. That's compelled speech. That's not freedom.
She's going to win. She's going to win in the Supreme Court.
I think she will.
Just like the other one did. But,
like the cake baker.
But they're going to do it again.
Right.
They're going to find someone else and do the same thing and just keep that system going. They block up the system. Whatever they can do, the ends justify the means.
I mean, and let's turn the tables on this to do the flip test here real quick. I know we got to get to an information segment in a moment. Let's say that we're going to be excited, and next July we're going to celebrate 2 years of News Talk STL on the air. And we went to a shop and hey, we want to bake a big cake. We're going to have a party. It says News Talk STL, news, analysis, opinion. And that baker said, what do you guys? You guys are conservatives? Yep. I don't want your business. Get out of here. Okay.
Yeah.
Somebody else will sell me the cake. That's their right, and I will defend their right to discriminate against us. I may call them out, but the bottom line is...
I'll call them out for sure.
I mean, the bottom line is that's their business. I don't have any right to force them to do something just because I want it, if it's their talent.
Well, what about that Visa subsidiary that was messing with Paul Kurtman's Defense of Liberty?
Yeah, Chase something or other.
It was something, yeah. What about that? That they decided, well, we just don't want to support you.
Right, because what happened was Donald Trump Jr. was the featured speaker, and they decided that, nope, that violates our policies, we're shutting you down, and that caused him to delay the Defense of Liberty event based solely on the political viewpoints of the people. Now, with Paul, there was a market reaction to that, but you could argue that's a contract violation. We had a deal, we had a contract, you reneged on it.
Yeah.
That's different than just saying we don't want to, because if they said we want to set this up for this event and they went, yeah, we're not interested, Paul probably would not have had any recourse on that. But that's where we're in this case right here before the Supreme Court. It's whether or not, some people argue it's whether or not a website designer or cake baker or whatever has a quote unquote right to discriminate. To me, it's a matter of whether or not government can force somebody to do or say something that they don't want or don't want to believe in. They're taking a lump for it. They're missing the business. They're already paying a penalty by not getting the profit.
Yeah.
It's not the role of government to make you do it, even if I disagree with your decision. 314-912-1019. This is 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. This is Mike Ferguson in the Morning on News Talk STL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Traffic Center.
It's mainly road work we have to watch out for at the moment. Eastbound 270 at Elizabeth and before 367, the right lane is closed. They cleared a crash we had in the work zone, so we're doing better. 55 north now just busy. Carondelet through Gasconade. They cleared a crash at Weber. 64 east is looking better at Clayton Warson, where we had a fender bender earlier. Just a little volume back to Spady. 64 westbound at Route K. Watch out for road work. They've got the right lane closed, and that is coming to a stop there. This report sponsored by Blindster. Save big on new blinds with Blindster.com. Custom-made blinds, shades, and shutters shipped right to you at prices less than the big box retailers. Shop Blindster now and save 45% off any order just by using the code RADIO. Offer ends soon. Shop today at Blindster.com. Joe Sonderman from the News Talk STL Traffic Center.
Columbo and Katie.
Monday is our first show without Katie, as she is now officially on maternity leave, so either we'll be fine and have the normal show you know and love, or it'll be a total train wreck. Either way, you don't want to miss it.
Weekdays at 2 on Newstalk STL.
Hey, Columbo here, and many of you know that one of my favorite things to do when I have some free time is to get out on the water and go fishing. And the folks at Bluff City Outdoors in Alton are the people you should see before your next fishing trip. No matter what you're fishing for, they have everything you need, from gear to lures to live bait. Plus, they can even set you up on a guided fishing tour on the Mississippi River. Make sure the tackle box is ready for your next trip by visiting Bluff City Outdoors at 2813 East Broadway in Alton and BluffCityOutdoors.com.
Hi, this is David with House Sold Easy, and I buy houses cash. If you own a house and you want to sell it fast at a fair price, call me at 314-293-3000. I pay cash and close in as little as 3 days. I buy houses in any condition, any price range, and any location in St. Louis. I'm a private real estate investor who buys several houses a month, and I want to buy more. I buy inherited houses, divorce houses, behind in payment houses. I even buy my tenant won't pay me the rent houses. Do you own a house that is trashed and needs thousands of dollars in repairs? Great, because I love buying junk houses. I buy vacant houses, abandoned houses, condemned houses, and foreclosure houses. If you own a house and you want to sell it fast, call me at 314-293-3000. That's 314-293-3000. 314-293-3000.
The candidates.
We're going to win this campaign.
The issues.
Gas prices, Biden inflation.
The election news, analysis, and opinion you won't get anywhere else. Decision 2022 happens.
There's a backlash coming
on Newstalk STL. Like us on Facebook at Newstalk STL. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. This is Newstalk STL at 1019, 94.1, 99.1 HD3 and NewstalkSTL.com.
The week ahead. Monday is the deadline to file income tax returns for the roughly 19 million people who sought extensions. The deadline does not apply to those affected by flooding or hurricanes. Monday will also be the first day Walmart and Walgreens pharmacies can sell over-the-counter hearing aids under a new federal rule announced earlier this year. Tuesday, for the first time in 6 years, McDonald's is bringing back Happy Meal Boo Buckets for trick-or-treaters. Wednesday, shareholders of Florida-based Spirit Airlines will vote on the air carrier's proposed sale to JetBlue. If approved, the $3.7 billion sale would still need the green light from federal antitrust regulators. JetBlue has said the purchase would allow it to better compete with American, United, Delta, and Southwest Airlines. Thursday, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention will end daily reporting on COVID cases and instead will begin publishing new numbers on a weekly basis. And that's a look at your week ahead. I'm Rich Dennison, Fox News.
Just got a quick reminder for you because I told everybody I would bring it back up on Monday for our friends over Freedom Principle, Missouri. That discussion of the November ballot issues meeting is happening tonight. We're talking about on the ballot on the Missouri side. There are 4 constitutional amendments that are proposed, including Amendment 3 regarding recreational marijuana. There are a few others, so you can get an in-depth presentation on that. Also, there is a referendum regarding a constitutional convention for the state. No, this is not the Convention of States thing. This is not the Article 5 thing, but it's another question that you're going to see on the ballot. So if you are one of those worried about going to the polls and saying, I don't know what this means, how do I vote? Well, you can get a lot more information tonight with our, like I said, our friends at Freedom Principal Mo. It's going to happen at 7 o'clock at the St. Louis County Library, the Grants Village branch, which is on Music Road.
Yeah, near where I live.
Yeah, and so if you go to freedomprincipalmo.org, you'll have more information there, or it's also on their Twitter account, which is freedomPPLMO, and you can find that. I actually had we had a message sent in to us on Facebook. Somebody said, what about all these judges? And they looked up their sample ballot, which is something you should absolutely do, is if you go to the Secretary of State's office, you go to whatever county election authority, county clerk, board of elections, whatever it is in your area, you can print up a sample ballot, type in your address, and they will say, this is your ballot that you will be deciding on. And somebody messaged us over the weekend saying, well, I'm not sure how to vote on all these judges, because the judges you vote to just keep or fire, basically retain, yes or no is how it is. And the judges don't run campaigns. In theory, they are all nonpartisan judges. And I responded back on behalf of the station. I said, I'm actually still looking into that myself. And I'm looking for some experts who follow these judges' rulings as well. And so that's not part of the meeting tonight. But those are the things that are on the ballot that we decide. So if there's a crappy judge on there, well, they've been reelected 10 times. Well, because nobody actually knows what they're voting on that. And I don't.
I've done it before.
Yeah. The only time I'm ever in court is if I'm like filing some, paper for some business thing or something. I just don't know enough about the judges to make an intelligent vote. So I'm trying to figure out how to make an intelligent vote on these judges.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness. All right. 314-912-1019. Wanted to, with the last few minutes that we've got here before Vic Porcelli is going to be here at 9:04-ish or so, is tying together all these things we talked about. We're going to have that conversation with Tyler O'Neill from the Daily Signal, available on our podcast probably within about another hour and a half or so. And if you haven't subscribed to our podcast, please do so. This is the kind of thing you're going to want to send to some of your friends who have said, oh, you're just fear-mongering. Oh, no, there goes the slippery slope argument again. Well, here we are in multiple states where the actual government says what we're going to do is prioritize 8-year-olds who want puberty blockers, who say they want a surgery, who say they want to alter their lives. And any parent who says no is running in violation of government mindset narrative. And that is one of those areas where you can only go so far before you cross that Rubicon, and you can't go back. That's what's frightening about this.
I have a relative, and I won't say who, but they had a conversation with me and my brother about their sexuality. Mm-hmm. They weren't sure. Not that they didn't know anything, but they just weren't sure about themselves. And the fact is, they were very naive. They had never been involved in a sexual relationship with anyone. So they just didn't know.
Sure.
Once they started to feel that they were actually, they could suddenly find out by interaction that they were interested in the opposite sex.
Right. So they came back around to
normal,
the default setting.
The default setting. Yeah, right. And had they not been left alone to discover it themselves, if they would have been, like, say, prodded, like some of these kids are, to be something completely different, they may have gone that way.
Prodded is an interesting word that you chose there, because I think that's pretty accurate. That's what we're seeing. I mean, first of all, you see it in media, and I think tomorrow we may talk about this Ulta Beauty stores. Did you see this thing?
Yes, I did.
Oh my goodness, they put out an ad. Oh, the backlash against them was immense.
They're going to lose billions.
Immense backlash to this. And it was interesting. Somebody made a comment saying, yeah, you've got guys walking around in woman face.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You talk about prodding, you've got media, you've got popular culture, you've got news media as well, other than like ours, and you've got public education that's trying to tell young children, impressionable children, no, this is the way it should be. This is the way it is. your parents are just wrong. This is so mean. This is so bigoted. And then we wonder why this confusion of mental illness is passing unbelievable numbers. All right, Vic Porcelli coming your way at around 9:04.
Tony Colombo here for our family dentist, Dr. Matt Boscia at New Creation Dental Care, a one-stop solution for all your family's dental needs, and I really mean all your dental needs. Dr. Boscia focuses on utilizing the latest technology to pass along the benefits and huge number of services to his patients, which saves you time, money, and reduces discomfort in many cases. He also focuses on your convenience by offering early morning and evening appointments to limit disruption to you and your kid's schedule, and to being available for same-day and emergency treatment. A broken or infected tooth can shut down your entire life, and that's why Dr. Boscia can usually treat you the same day you call about an issue, right there in the office, without you having to be referred or make additional appointments with a specialist. In almost every case, Dr. Boscia is the only dental professional you need, and that's why Christine and I trust him with our family. Learn about all those great services and see if he's right for your family by visiting newcreationdentalcare.com. That's newcreationdentalcare.com.
The Range St. Louis West is Missouri's best indoor shooting range. With 20 climate-controlled lanes, over 70 firearms available to rent, and the best staff in the business, you're guaranteed to enjoy every minute of your time with us. Our impressive showroom is full of the latest and greatest offerings from the best manufacturers in the business. Need an optic, spare magazines, holster, or any other accessory? Let our professional staff help you find exactly what you need and get it installed for you. Mention you heard us on NewstalkSTL and save $100 on your membership and enjoy even more goodies. The Range St. Louis West. Are you ready?
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefontaine, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewstalkSTL.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Greg Clugston in Washington. With 3 weeks until the midterm